YouTube is live too. Boom, we get that running. So wonderful good day to everyone. Also on the YouTube side, 10 minutes until the fireside chat, 11 minutes. You hope that pats are going to be as good? Yes. I mean, like, technically, they made a companion now that scales 1-to-1 with your stats. One could assume that they're also going to be doing that for the Necro minions. One could assume. That assumption is maybe flawed. We'll see about that. Hopefully they fix minions. I mean, like here, hopes and fears. Hopes and fears. Fix Necro minions. Balance Barb. Give Necro another dodge ability. Right? What else would you like to see? One-on-one Necro, and like, even if Necro minions were one-on-one, they were not broken. They would not be broken. Just like that. We have another 10 minutes until this thing is starting. So what else? What do you got for me, Chad? What would you like to see? Arena PvP. Arena PvP will never happen. Never is a long word, but it will most likely never happen. So that's not announced. I mean, reason for the leaderboard delay. So are we going to get one? I mean, we all know why it was delayed, more or less, because they didn't want to like start with it straight away. But still, it would be nice for them to acknowledge that, kind of, correct? So why the leaderboard was delayed. Fix Necro minions, balance the Barb, give Necros another dodge ability. For Valds. I hope they'll explain Arcane Tremors. Explain Arcane Tremors. Because we know how Valds work. But I need to know how Arcane Tremors work. Since if I know how Arcane Tremors work, I can make a level guide. So I need to know that. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted. That's very appreciated, Limpin. Thank you for pulling these out for the community. That's very kind of you. Dankeschön. $20 says no news on Necro minions. AZ Jackson is there. AZ Jackson is the lead class designer, and he's especially there to talk about the changes. I mean, here we have Mr. AZ Jackson, who tweeted out a little over an hour before the live stream. I'll see you there. Oh, that's a bit early. Are we starting playing trailers?
I sense that recent events have brought you to me. These are strange times indeed.
I hope you've watched that already, Chad.
Many fear the inexplicable.
I think they also want to pull people from playing Last Epoch. Last Epoch is in a month.
You seek.
Last Epoch is in a month. That's quite a way out for that in any way becomes relevant. Also, I, for myself, will never play Last Epoch over Diablo. Because Last Epoch looks ass.
A mighty weapon capable of harnessing ancient power.
Right?
One strong enough to control.
That's my main problem with Last Epoch.
Be warned, for the construct is buried deep beneath Kyrgyzstan in the ancient vaults of Zoltan. Untouched for
On a bows, nah, Last Epoch just doesn't look good enough for me, honestly.
of Kul's own design, and guarded by his mechanical horrors.
By the way, if you missed it, guys, we have 2 videos, a theory craft already, and we also have like the whole season wrapped up. Plus, tomorrow's video is about the class changes. The video after that is about how vaults work. Everything wrapped up.
Leaving darker forces free to corrupt his machinations and claim the vault's power for themselves.
I like the dude. He's going to be such a nice boss to beat.
Await you in the depths. Take the rune, if you dare.
Hey, Miasma, good to see you there. Take the rune if you dare. That's it? We're not getting more? I was hoping. Are you not going to run it again, right? We're going to watch it. Come on, chat. We're going to watch this video too. It was actually a good video.
Unique items, new mechanics, challenges, and more.
Did you hear that? New unique items, chat. We're getting new uniques. That's not mentioned anywhere. I hope we see them.
Wondrous place beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan, filled with untold treasure. Nearly all who seek this treasure never return. Those that do return are haunted, or worse yet, possessed. You seek out this place to put an end to whatever's lurking there.
Following a lead, you discover a sprawling network of underground vaults. It houses the Loom, a priceless apparatus.
Why is that thing called the Loom?
Brilliant mages Zoltan Kuhl and Ayujan of Chaldeum to shape the elements and build tools to serve humanity.
While exploring the network, you rescue Ayujan, only to discover that the demon Malphus has taken over the Loom to create its
Oh, Granddad, we're gonna have a kick-ass starter build. Don't worry. I have actually 3 planned.
He's unlike other demons we've encountered in Diablo 4.
Cosmetics for the Gauntlet. Well, we have the Battle Pass, which looks really kick-ass already.
He has possessed one of Zoltan Kuhl's prized constructs.
And you must work with Ayujan to explore the
New
vaults
Necroman
and
here?
gain access to the
Let's
Loom
fucking
and
go.
Malphus.
This season introduces constructs. These elementally powered monsters were originally created by Ayujan and Zoltan to protect.
As a little heads up, Chan, the minion, the companion, scales 1-to-1 with our stats, in case you didn't know that.
Giving them different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. You'll also find them, of course, in the vaults themselves, protecting the many treasures within. As players engage with the storyline of the Season of the Construct, they're going to come across a broken version of the Seneschal.
You look so
during the
innocent.
The Seneschal is a special construct that was built to command the other constructs based on Ayujan's and Zoltan's direction. Ayujan of Chaldeum repairs the Seneschal to follow your orders.
The Seneschal construct is
So we're getting fixed, hopefully.
It's a
At least
construct
bettered.
that will accompany you throughout
The minion
season.
scales for your stats.
construct's
How about your poor
power
minions? They're still
growth.
useless.
The Seneschal construct
Probably the
has
construct is going to be better than minions ever were.
that can complement the player's build. It can deal damage, crowd control monsters, or even support you directly by healing you or providing you a damage bonus. Magical stones are the key to customizing and empowering your
The
construct.
magical stones, by the way, chat, are also listed already in our guide here.
You get governing
We have
stones
them.
from the
We have
seasonal
them here in the
quests,
list
and you get
too.
tuning stones from playing through the seasonal
The ones at least that were
Governing
visible.
stone is a core construct ability, while a tuning stone is a singular
Linked in the
modification
description.
for any number of governing stones.
As players are progressing through the Season of the Construct and they're leveling up their Seneschal, adding new abilities and improving them, they're going to find abilities that are going to deal damage to packs of monsters, to single monsters.
There's the
and
lightning
also
bolt,
abilities that
lightning
are
bolt.
focused on buffing the power of the player themselves, so that players.
And here
can
comes
have
like
different
that's the
options as
firefly,
they're progressing
where he
through the
shoots a little firefly that
One
explodes.
ability is auto defense. Auto defense summons a magical barrier around your construct.
And he's also
that
going to do
shoots
the
down
fire
enemy
beam,
projectiles.
which is really
Another
strong.
cool ability that your
The fire
construct
beam.
has is focus fire.
Just turn
It
up the
is a
volume.
shield
Oh, I can make it louder. It's not loud
chained
enough.
to multiple enemies.
Better?
Use combinations of tuning stones to transform a seemingly simple skill into something truly crazy.
Full control of the volume. You just have to tell me if you
Vaults are
need it.
seasonal dungeons that are filled with a high concentration of deadly traps, where you can farm for the magic stones for your.
I hope our new
Seneschal
companion doesn't have
construct.
ADHD hour like
You can
our
find the
minions.
entrances in different zones of Sanctuary.
I hope
When
the
player
AI's
enters a
okay.
vault, they are met in a familiar area of Sanctuary. Then, the player teleports to the vault proper, encountering great challenges. Vaults not only have our new construct family in them, but also new traps.
Can't wait
built
for the
this
traps.
season.
And to
Players are
just
going
blood mist
discover
through
many
them.
new hazards
It's like, oh
inside
no,
these
traps,
vault
blood
spaces.
mist.
You know, whether it is spinning pillars shooting out flames or other traps, players need to stay on their toes while they're progressing through these vaults in order to stay alive.
Each vault culminates in a gauntlet of true skill. Players must avoid traps while fighting waves of enemies and a powerful elite. If you survive that, the traps will turn off.
We
and the
technically
treasure
know
room is
everything,
revealed.
guys.
If you get
But
hit by a
what we're
trap,
missing
you lose
is,
one
how do
stack of
Arcane
Sultan's
Tremors work?
Warning.
Arcane Tremors are the
Sultan's Warning
malignant
is a special
tunnels.
buff
That's
players
what's
can
currently
get by
missing. That's what we
interacting with the
need to
statue of
find
Sultan
out.
Pool when they enter a
Because we
vault.
know pearls of
If
warding, how they
pearls
work, how the
warding,
stacks work, how the
Lord
traps
Raven
work,
chests are
how the
special
chests work.
Players can interact with at the end of a vault if they have enough stacks of Zoltan's Warning left over. If a player has more than one stack, they can open
What's
a
the best necro build to
rare
level?
Lord-woven
Blood Surge
chest.
Summoner
Those
into
have
Blood
even
Surge
better
No
rewards.
Summoner.
This season
Crushing. We have a
introduces
video
our
on that
first
already
stationary
on the
vaults
channel.
in Diablo 4.
This is going to be a fight against this massive.
But I'll record a new
protective
one,
goal of
3-level
meant to
builds.
Watch over the vaults. The Malphus, once again, has managed to corrupt and control.
Because it's stationary, it gives us the opportunity to include some of the
I hope the
season's
boss is
new
not going to be a
traps into the
pushover.
arena. This presents
That'd be
a lot
great.
of unique and new mechanics for the players to navigate. and
Obviously,
fight.
with level 100, you're just going to
Players
shit on
really need
him.
to bring all of their skills and abilities to bear as they try to destroy and fight off these Malphus-controlled constructs. They're also going to make good use of their own
Necro Druid,
Seneschal
I'll do
to make
Necro
sure
Druid,
they're
maybe
getting
Mage, but I'll do
upgraded
2
when the
to
fights
3
come.
Necros. And I'll do a speed run for everyone, Chad.
The Gauntlet is a new, fixed seed, non-linear dungeon where players have a fixed amount of time to achieve high scores.
So I'll
by
level with
proving
Bone
their
Spear,
might.
and
Any
I'll
player
level
can
with
unlock
Blood Surge
Tier
once
4
each, and
format
each one
mode
gets a video for
to
you.
compete in the Gauntlet.
It's gonna be really
The
cool.
Gauntlet starts several weeks into the season of the Construct. At the beginning of each week, a new Gauntlet replaces the current one. Unlike other dungeons, every time you and other players enter the Gauntlet that week, it will be exactly the same. Same monster positions, same affixes, everything. This makes it a fair competition. Additionally, monsters within the Gauntlet start at level
No
100.
information for the new class.
This is
That's
meant
end
to
of the
test your
year.
fully leveled up
Don't
and
expect
geared up
anything
ability.
Gamescom.
It's
Gamescom
highly
is new
replayable,
class announcement,
enabling a broad set of
100%.
player choices.
Not before.
Players can try different classes and strategies for
But
achieving
Gamescom.
high scores. Leaderboards are a place for top players to compete with one another.
Faith for the end game? I mean, there's no end game until leaderboards come. So you play to get better, to then play leaderboard. But I'm excited for the vaults because a tier 100 vault with traps might be
Some
interesting.
players may not be ready for that type of play, so we've created goals for them as well. Each leaderboard has a ladder.
But I'll definitely make top 10 every
Each
season.
rung of the ladder awards a
At
seal
least top
that you can show off.
1,000. Top 1,000 is the
When you
goal.
earn the
Top 10 would be
seal of
great.
worthy, you'll be
I want
ready
at
for
least to be
leaderboard
top 10
competition.
once.
Can't wait to see you in Sanctuary.
I'm not sure how much I'm willing to like lose my life over it, you know? We starting?
Hello, Diablo community. Welcome to another Diablo 4 developer update live stream. My name is Adam Fletcher. I am the community lead for the Diablo franchise, and of course, I'm joined by some special guests here today. I'm joined by Dan and Madeline. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure thing. I'm Dan Tangway. I am the lead designer for Season 3, Season of the Construct.
Oh, hello, sir.
I'm Madeline James, and I'm one of our quest designers on Diablo 4.
And what you guys
Could you make her
probably don't
quieter,
realize
like
is,
10%?
maybe you do.
So we can't hear
If
it
you
all,
watch these
maybe?
streams, often you'll most definitely realize we're in a completely different set today. We're actually live from Albany, New York, at Blizzard Albany, and we're doing the stream up here. And so now we have two different sets. We have one in Irvine and one in Albany, and we actually have another
Volume it
guest
up a
that will
bit.
be
I'm
joining us
voluming
today.
up.
And so very
We need more
familiar face
Tell Me.
to all our live streams. That's Mr. Adam Jackson. He's live from the Irvine studio. Hi, Adam. Good to see you. And we'll
He's
be talking
alone.
to you soon because we're going to be talking about balance
And tired.
classes and everything. So we'll be joining Adam here shortly. But we have a lot to talk about. You know, a lot with Season 3. We announced it earlier this week with Season of the Construct. We've seen a lot of cool feedback and great feedback from players related to the trailer and everything that released out earlier this week. But we did want to talk a little bit, before we jump into Season 3 and those items, we do want to talk a little bit about, you know, the new year and obviously going through the holiday and Season 2, where we had Season of Blood.
No, we don't want to talk about
where
that.
Players got to jump in, of course, fight Lord Zir, jump into
No.
different blood harvests and everything.
Thank you.
And it
Appreciate
was
it,
awesome
but
to see
no.
with Season of Blood, was, you know, or Season of Blood is that we ended up.
Yeah, they look like
getting
they have
really
all
great
been up
feedback
for a
from
while
players
now.
about
This
how
looks
they
all
enjoyed, you know,
very
some of
last
the aspects
second.
with it, and you know, just hearing that feedback has helped us a whole lot in terms of how we're going to build out Diablo 4, especially in future seasons. And one big thing that, you know, we introduced was the boss ladder, with, you know, of course, Uber Duriel being part of it.
Yep.
And it was a good opportunity for players to kind of target farm Uber uniques, which was really great. And we got to see a lot of players actually.
This was a great
obtain
way
Uber
for people to
uniques
show
this
their
season.
depravity.
And
Thousands
I will
of
say, like, you know, we
Duriels.
plan on having the boss ladder again for Season 3.
Thousands.
With some tweaks, which we'll talk about here shortly with the stuff.
Lady
that we're
looks
gonna be
super
talking about with
angsty. She
quality
hasn't been
light
often on
changes and
camera.
everything. And of course,
you
we
notice
had
that?
Abattoir of Zir. This
Might
was a
also
new
be that she's
endgame,
just a lady on
feature that
camera
we ended
because
up, announcing
people
at
are
BlizzCon,
just judgmental
and
as
we
fuck,
introduced
right?
it
As soon as you go in
before
front
the
of a camera as a
holidays for
lady,
players to check out. And you know, I do want to.
You're just judged straight
give a
away.
Huge shout out to the community because we got a lot of feedback about Abattoir of Zir. And this feedback is really important because we are planning on additional endgame activities in the future. I will say that Abattoir Zir will not be present in Season 3.
Okay.
But
No
based off
AOZ
the
in
feedback
Season
we
3?
ended up hearing from players
At all?
we'll have more news to share in the future about, you know, maybe next iterations or growth from what we've learned with that endgame feature with Abattoir Zir. So thanks again to the community for all the great feedback with that. And then we have Midwinter Blight, which was our first event, our first holiday
Midwinter
event,
Blight sucked.
in Diablo 4.
Just straight up sucked.
Where players got to actually collect really, really cool cosmetics. If you wanted to carry
Cosmetics
some
were good,
bells and
though.
race around on your
Event-
back,
Event
on your
was a
weapons and
stinker.
everything like
William,
that.
good to see you there.
You had the opportunity for that. Another good opportunity for our
How many
players
did
to
you
actually
get,
provide feedback,
chats,
'cause this
everyone?
was our first
I
like,
got 2.
holiday event. And so
Got the shield.
we're actually going to have future holiday events.
And
you
the
guys will hear
focus.
about one pretty soon in the future. And you know,
That's it.
based off of a lot of great feedback we got,
Shield is
you'll
great,
be
though.
seeing that feedback applied
Shield
to
is
some
great.
of these future events that we have coming
0.
forward.
What?
And of course, at the end of the
Okay.
year, we ended up going over kind of all the big stats since Diablo 4 launched.
By the way, Chad,
and a
most
ton of
popular
people have
classes,
joined,
Sword
Diablo
and Necro.
4,
Here.
to slay demons with us in Sanctuary, and a lot of people have died as well. And some of these stats, these numbers have only grown since we posted these late last year. Of course, we had 37 million people died at the Butcher. Now more, for sure, since we ended up having that. We've had over 1 trillion monsters killed, which is absolutely crazy. And, lots of hardcore deaths for people.
Why were you playing
who
Diablo
choose to
3?
play
Because it
a
was
little bit
great.
more
I enjoyed
risky,
Season 30.
And play hardcore.
But now we're back to D4
specifically.
because
and
D4
our 2
season's
most
there.
popular classes being the Sorcerer and the Necromancer. Not too surprised on the Necromancer. Necromancer is a fan favorite. Has always been a
I'm
fan
surprised.
favorite
How
with
is Necromancer the
D3.
most played when it's
I
the
actually, funny enough, I
the
might
worst,
actually be playing Necromancer
the most
here
fun.
for Season 3. I don't know what you guys were planning on playing for Season 3, but...
The team makes fun of me. I play Swork every single season. That's my
I
favorite.
played Sork last season too, so I don't blame you.
Yeah, Neil's in love with that lady now.
So I might do that.
Neil
There you
also
go.
plays a lot of Sorg.
There we go. I did Druid in Season 1. I did Sork in Season 2. Feeling Necromancer in Season 3, so I think that's going to be my choice.
Yeah, so I
there.
can yell at Adam now. It's
So
great.
it was great to see all the numbers and all the stats.
Follow me on Twitter.
From,
I can bully him in
Diablo 4
DDMs.
since launch. But today we are here to talk about Season 3, Season of the Construct. It's arriving January 23rd. Dan, do you want to give us a quick little rundown?
Sure, yeah. So Season of the Construct
I want that shirt from Dan.
is packed with a lot of content. And so there's a lot of things we're going to cover coming up. I mean, the first thing we're going to talk about is our all-new quest line that delves beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan. Nothing good happens beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan, so that's where we're headed. And in addition to that, as you've seen from a lot of the promotional materials, we are now introducing a seasonal companion called the Seneschal construct. And that is something that you can upgrade and really kind of round out your builds in new ways. In addition to that, we have a couple of new repeatable activities. The first is the Vaults, which is an all-new dungeon type. And the second is Arcane Tremors, which is a new overworld activity. And last but surely not least, in terms of the Season 3 package, is the Gauntlet and leaderboards. And those are coming pretty soon.
Tell me more
but,
about the Arcane Tremors.
We'll
Skip
give
the
you a bit of
rest.
a tease right now, I think.
Now.
Yeah, so I know a ton of stuff for
Thank
Season
you.
3. This is most definitely the biggest season yet for Diablo 4, with a lot of content. And as you mentioned, questline and story being the first thing that we wanted to dive into.
take a shot every time they say
Madeline, I
content.
think this is a good opportunity to
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about what we can expect for the questline for Season 2.
Absolutely. So as Dan mentioned, we have a new quest line for Season 3. In it, you are going to assist the mage Ayujan to purge the demon Malphus from the vaults of Zoltan Kuhl.
The leaderboards
Malphus
are
has
nothing
taken
like
over
Greater
the
Rifts.
vaults, turned them into.
We mentioned
his
that in
own
one of our
kingdom,
latest videos,
and has
but we're gonna
turned
get
the
to that later,
hazards
too.
And the constructs inside of them.
Oh, it was constructs, not
against their
content.
makers. I think a good question to start with is kind of why constructs. It's a little bit of a departure from seasons past. You know, Season 1 dealt with malignancy, and Season 2 dealt with vampires, both stemming from Lilith's influence. But Sanctuary is such a big place, and so many different stories and lore, where at present day Sanctuary is kind of the Dark Ages. We've had, thousands of years of different technology and magic, and this is one of those stories. We spent a lot of time discussing as a team what we even wanted to do for Season 3. And the story team really fell in love with mage clans. We delved into a lot of Diablo lore. We delved into the Sin War books. We delved into the Roderick Vault, etc. And the mage clans, for people that don't know, were these ancient mage societies that really were expertise in certain levels of magic, and we love the visual.
I like that they're doing their
typically
homework
the bad guys
by diving into the
typically
lore
delve into
before this
demonic
season,
magic, even though
and
they're
not just some random shamambo
traditionally
bambo.
evil per se. And Visurai created constructs. They took machinery and their demonic magic and made these soldiers or these guards. Our protagonist, Ayujan, is not technically Visurai. He's part of the Ennead clan with Zoltan Kuhl. But their goal was to take these idea of constructs and make them their own and, do them in a different way.
Yeah, and Zoltan Kuhl is kind of
Is their audio coming twice to you,
face
or
He
what are you saying?
is.
in Diablo
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made it louder.
No pun intended.
Definitely pun intended.
Turn everyone's microphones up.
Zoltan played a part in the Diablo 3 story, and of
Yes.
course we saw him in Diablo Immortal as well.
Yes, Zoltan was one of the original Haradrim. Good old Uncle Tyrael gave him the original Soul Stones. It's like, hey, I trust you, take care of them. Zoltan went a little bit off script, and he's like, what if I made these better? And so he created his Dark Soul Stone,
Black
which
Soul
was
Stone,
his
thank
own
you.
kind of flawed attempt at
I didn't want to
ending
do
the
that.
internal conflict. It didn't go quite.
They seem to be
as
having a hard time
expected, and
explaining.
The rest of Rodham said,
I think it's just the lady.
don't really like what he's
Honestly,
doing.
I don't think they have a hard time
Yeah.
explaining.
So they killed him.
It's nervous,
They're-
very
we're
nervous on
too
camera
frightened of you.
right now.
But Zoltan and Ayujan knew each other in their youth and became business partners and eventually friends. And they shared this vision of, if we can create our own version of constructs and create this alternate power source that's not using demonic magic, the Loom.
The middle guy doesn't know what they're doing. Adam has camera presence. The other two don't. The setup is bad.
As expected.
The triple
Couldn't just
setup.
they couldn't
They
get
would have to have them
Zoltan
both
was
on the
just like, you
side,
know what?
Adam on the other
I'm gonna
side,
move on to bigger,
camera
greater
perspective
things. This is a
different.
failure.
This is just
Let's
a
move on.
bad
And Ayujan
setup
was like,
from
no,
a.
we have something here. Let's keep going.
Yeah, like if you have seen
and
streams
unfortunately,
before.
that created a rift in their friendship, and that rift allowed for
She looks
the
very
demon
jittery.
Malphus
Yes, Justin.
to infiltrate their work.
As someone who's been on stage a lot,
Malphus is a demon that you're
Daniel
gonna
stares right into her soul.
encounter in the quest line, and then
It's like-
fight an uber version of him later in the season.
Laser
He's a
focus.
little bit different than our typical demon. You think of big.
See what
scary
Adam
guy
is
with
doing here?
horns.
He's giving the affirmative,
Like
the
I said before, he
smiles,
took
the
inspiration
head
from
nods.
Sin War, and they have a lot
What
of
she's saying is
different
completely
types of
irrelevant to me.
different
And
abilities,
Daniel is just
different
sitting there and
shapes. One of
staring.
them
He's
is
not.
like
He's
this
not nodding.
stone
He's not doing
liquid mouth,
anything.
mask with a mouth on top. And so the original Malphus was like this red mist, and that allowed him to kind of sneak into corners that he wasn't supposed to. Malphus is a named demon, and he's one of terror, but he's very unimportant in the hierarchy of hell, and that kind of bothers him. We joked around on the team that he had a desk job in hell. So when he found the opportunity to sneak into the sanctuary and to corrupt the vaults, he's like, "This is my time to shine. This is my kingdom. I'm going to rule it." And he did that successfully for many, many years. And he might have.
I'm not sure if this was the smartest way to start the broadcast by no footage and only questline explanation.
and leave the vaults.
Where the
he's not
quest line is the
satisfied with
least
vaults. He
interesting
now
part.
wants to start trying to take
Yes.
over Sanctuary itself.
And that's where the player comes in.
Yeah.
So I think we have footage of the quest line, the early parts.
Thank you.
You are going to
That's-
start in Gaia Cool.
leave everything else out.
where Malphus's influence has seeped in. Villagers and demons don't typically go well. I can't even imagine their insurance rates. But they hire you and they're like, hey, something's going on, something up north, please figure it out for us. And so you find the first vault and you delve into it to try and get a sense of what's going on. And these are where you're
Vault?
going to start seeing the first hostile construct.
That's
that
level
Malphus
8.
has
Level 8
created.
chat.
And find your own construct. You start finding pieces of it. You're going to keep traveling through, and eventually you're going to find Ayujan, who is in a less perfect than ideal situation under Malphus.
It was level 8 chat.
You eventually free him. He's like, thank you so much. I don't even know what's going on, but let's figure this out together. And he fixes the Seneschal construct for you. He's like, you're probably going to need this as we delve
Now she's
into
suddenly level 8
full
again
stuff
after
out.
being level 10. Second
and here
before.
We're seeing like part of the quest line, like obviously building up and kind of creating your own Seneschal
Yep.
construct. Yeah.
I think we have footage of the Malphus fight as well.
Oh yeah, we can jump into that.
So Malphus is our first stationary boss. He uses the environment, the hazards in the room, as well as his glaive to smack you around. There are different elements in the boss fight that are going to periodically switch. Like I said before, he's this red mist, but for this fight, he is possessed the largest construct he could find, the Guardian. To
I think she's still level 8, so this is like the first vault, very early fight against Malphus, like under-leveled essentially.
Imagine then Malphus is pretty much become like the embodiment. It's the vault itself, and the vault is now coming alive.
Yeah, it should have made a pre-recorded lore video way better than what they did, for sure. And I don't want to be mean.
He doesn't want you in there. He's going to he'd throw everything in the kitchen sink at you.
Yep.
We also have footage of our new seasonal town, the Gate Hall.
You have the footage.
This is kind of the
gateway
between the vaults and the upper world. You're going to go through it in the quest line, and then it is going to.
So there's a purveyor down there. There's everything. Wow, this is a whole.
It's a waypoint, so easy travel. Most of the
whole trade hub with everything. It's kind of nice.
See here that they're actually construct vendors that Ayujan has fixed for you to help you out. And here you're going to be accessing the vaults. You can also access them in the overworld if you choose so. So it should be a really convenient place for you to.
Okay, there's Vault of Stone.
Your main hub for the season.
Vault of Ink.
We expect a lot of players will be hanging out here in the gate
Vault
halls.
of Ink.
All your vendors will be here. It'll be easy access to the vaults and everything. So kind of the new hub
as it
specifically
seems
for season 3. So. Yeah, sounds really cool. Yeah, really excited for the questline and story for season 3. Obviously, we talked about Seneschal constructs and how that's actually going to be a big part of the storyline.
The hub is a big thing, honestly.
With, seeing the footage of like, wow, it looks like we have these little companions with us now.
Looks like the pet seemed to be sticking to you.
Can you talk us
a
little bit about what Seneschal construct will be for players?
So the Seneschal construct is a seasonal companion. And the seasonal companion is kind of the embodiment of your power chase for the season. So every season we try to develop a new type of power chase, and power is really important to our players.
He says one more time, power.
I'm drinking becoming super powerful and killing lots of demons, and we're always trying to find new ways to do that. So we really wanted to stretch ourselves this season and find a way that players hadn't seen before. And so that is how the Seneschal came into being. Now, the Seneschal is this little construct, well, maybe not so little, but it follows you around. And
you can pet it.
Has different skills and abilities.
And I will note, you can pet your construct, your Seneschal construct, which is you have to be able to pet it. So yes,
absolutely
important.
Yeah.
Nafris, wait, the pet is actually interesting.
You can have 2 skills on your Seneschal construct. Those are given to the construct using what is called a governing stone. And governing stones are these semi-precious stones that you can find throughout your adventures in Season 3. They drop in a lot of those repeatable activities I mentioned, which we'll cover soon. And there's lots of different types. I think there's about 12 that you can slot in.
There is 12.
We weren't satisfied with that, though. Because, 12 skills, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but we wanted to allow players really to modify those skills however they saw fit. And so we've also developed 27 different tuning stones, another type of stone
me too, Craze.
that you can slot in then to modify that skill. And so you've got those 2 governing stones.
12 skills,
each governing
27
stone
tunings.
has 3 different tuning stones that can modify it and just create really wild combinations
like
of powers
similar to PoE, yes, man, fight demon.
To experiment how they see fit. And so kind of with that breadth of powers, then you've got a lot of different options for being able to kind of round out your build and create new types of ways to kill demons.
Awesome.
So,
that's very cool. It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And I think we might actually have
I
some
think
examples and footage of what some of these would be.
So let me tell you what's going on
2
here.
abilities?
So we've brought up our construct menu. And this is in the inventory UI, but it's its own separate UI. So
And it's not in your inventory.
construct is not going to take up your traditional inventory space.
Mm-hmm.
And this construct has 2 governing stones equipped right now. One is called Focus Fire, which was that beam of fire that was coming out. The other one is called Lightning Bolt, and you can see it shooting some lightning bolts.
Yeah, but the lightning
Like I
bolt
said,
seems to have
2
high
skills,
cooldown.
Not too bad. You're killing
Very
some
high
folks
cooldown.
here. But we wanna amp things up a bit. So in addition to being able just to get stones as drops from activities, you can also
Wait,
craft
that's
stones. And so we've gone to our gate hall here, and we're crafting a new stone. We're going to see what we get. In this case, it's a pummel stone, a governing stone. I already have that skill, so it's just going to count towards XP, towards leveling up pummel. And I'm going to kit out my
Is that a
Seneschal
250
little bit different.
cooldown, the pummel?
So we've got Focus Fire, and I think the first thing we're going to add is Voluminous Support. Fancy way of saying that it's going to increase the area of effect for your attacks. We're also going to add Electrocution. Now, even though Focus Fire is a fire attack, Electrocution is going to add some lightning damage to it, and it's also going to add a little bit of chance of stun. And so now we're dipping our toes into this crowd control.
What we need to know
And
is
then
if you can
finally,
use on both
we're
skills
going
the
to add
same
Arcane
supports.
Support. And Arcane Support
Okay.
is really cool because Arcane Support allows your abilities to chain.
Mm-hmm.
And so now let's see what that power is going to look like when we bring it back up.
Focus fire now hits 7
All
enemies.
right,
Look at
so
that.
here
Boom.
now,
It's actually
you can
super
see that
interesting. Look
Focus
at that.
Fire is chaining amongst
Super
enemies.
cool.
You can see that some of them are getting stunned, little electricity around them.
And you can make it
And
burn.
it had a bigger
Okay.
area of effect.
Yeah, one
Similarly,
attack,
if we were
3
to apply some of
supports.
these to the lightning
And
bolt
these supports
attack,
are insane. Again,
let's
there's
say
a
we
document
give
in the
it
description with all the
multi-shot in that
stones.
Arcane
Chad.
support, now it can just blast through enemies. So yeah.
Got it all saved up for you
got a lot of
already.
options there.
Six
so
total
we're kinda
note,
seeing
1,
some
3, and
examples
1,
of what
3.
Players can potentially
Okay.
do with their Seneschal
Yep.
constructs and actually make adjustments and modify them to kind of suit your specific playstyle. I think a big question is like, can you actually
it's going to be
add,
game breaking. Don't worry.
maybe
There's quite some insane combos.
status effects or things
Yes.
like that. Like, can you potentially add
Don't
in a
worry, we'll
tuning
break the
stone
game.
that may make enemies
Don't
like,
worry.
vulnerable, for instance.
Yes, absolutely. So again, we wanted to give all of you a lot of different options to play with. We want this to be a toy that you can experiment with. And so that means that, you know, some of the examples we showed were more damage dealing, where the Seneschal is doing the damage. But then we also want to give players the ability to just kind of set up, you know, enemies for you to go in and, you know, land the killing blow. So there are a lot of different support stones that can make things vulnerable, bleed things, electrocute them.
The
chill
companion
them.
is
I mean, the list
invincible,
goes on.
and the
I mean,
companion
pretty
gets your
much any of
stats
the,
1
you know,
to
the
1.
verbs in the game.
So
Invincible, stats
possibilities
1 to 1.
are
No lies.
massive with
Yes.
what you can do with your Seneschal. And you know,
No,
one
the
thing, this
runes
is
don't
actually
land in your
something that,
stash tab.
Sean White, who
The
was in
runes
video,
stay in the rune menu.
Our Dev Insights video before the actual start of the stream pointed out yesterday on social media to players that were asking a little bit more, or for more clarity on some items. But the Seneschal construct actually does scale 1-to-1 with like specific like secondary type of stats, or even
Yes.
or
Yeah.
things that are associated with your actual character.
You get
So
your
things
critical
like attack
strike,
rating
chance,
or,
and damage.
Crit chance,
Yep.
for instance.
Yeah, it was very important for the Seneschal to feel as if it was an extension of you if you wanted to be that. Also, we really didn't want to get, you know, a Seneschal that was just outclassed.
It's gonna
and
make
got level
leveling way
100.
easier,
Where's
yes,
the-
for
where's the
everyone.
fun, right? So, yes, absolutely, the Seneschal will become more powerful as you become more powerful.
Awesome. Yeah,
And there will
so
be a new level
Seneschal
route
constructs
that I'll
obviously
present to
playing a
you
huge
before the
role.
season starts.
And with the construct and you now being able to customize and change things up for how you want to play, there's new challenges and that are associated with the season 3 season of the construct, and one of them is vaults. Which I know we do want to dive a little bit more into specifically. So yeah, do you guys want to talk a little bit more about vaults?
Sure. Vaults are a new dungeon for the season, and we have 4 types of vaults. Like I
types?
said before, they are this extension of Malphas. And because of that, he has turned the hazards inside of them into enemies in and of themselves. We wanted to explore the fantasy of a environment that was hostile, and it was ready to kill you often, and so they're filled with hazards that, you know, spinning fires of death, floor plates that come alive, arrows that shoot out.
We're gonna do a quick level guide. Quick level guide, 1 to 100 speed run,
I think we
everything.
have some footage of the vaults as well to kind of walk you through it. So yeah, constructs in them per usual. These, because they're so
I like how
hostile
big the
and
constructs are.
dangerous, we
These
wanted them
scorpions,
to
they're
have
like
a good,
massive.
be
Not like so
lucrative
tiny,
and
right?
risk
I mean, they're
reward.
the tiny skitter bots.
So we have a lot of different loot. I think a little bit later in the video, there's like an explosion of gold, and that's just going to be common.
Now, see, I love this here, right?
Our
You
dungeon
have to
designers,
avoid
you
the
know,
traps
typically with the
because if you get hit,
dungeon
you get less
experience,
loot
you
at
know,
the
you
end.
get a pop-up, and you're like, okay, it's telling
Chat.
you to kill all
If
the
you get
enemies,
hit,
I know what to
less
do.
loot.
The dungeon designers wanted to explore
so
a little
fun.
bit of a, I'm not sure what I'm going to be experiencing. I have to go find my objective. And so the objectives are vague a little bit on purpose, but typically vaults end in this, what we call
Okay.
death room,
Calm down.
danger room. Where it is, everything is being thrown at you, all the traps from the vault accumulated in one large room.
So the end is a danger
We're
room
really excited to
full of traps.
a bit of new gameplay, you know, dodging traps, and this is one of the danger rooms.
See,
for example.
honestly, this is cool. I
We're
like
really
this.
excited to get people to
I'll just blunt this
dive
through.
into this and experiment.
You know, yeah, and obviously with vaults like like tons of traps here.
Yes.
I know that there's some gameplay associated with like kind of avoiding them and rewards associated with those as well.
Yes, absolutely. So certainly Madeline has outlined a lot of the risks associated with vaults. I mean, those hazards are going to be pretty unforgiving. But if we're putting a lot of risks in front of you guys, we want to make sure there's a lot of rewards too. So you saw a little bit of it already with like some of the basic chests in the vaults have been
So
souped
don't get
up,
hit by
they're,
traps. You
you
can
know,
get hit
more
by
rewarding
minions, right?
than those
But
chests you
not by
find in other
traps.
dungeons. But there's another mechanic at play too, and that's called Zoltan's Warding. So as you enter a vault, after you've cleared some of Malphas's influence out of the vault, you can find this statue of Zoltan Kuhl because, of course, Zoltan Kuhl.
He has to have a statue.
He's
of
got to have a
himself.
statue in every vault. I mean, that's just how he rolls, right? So if you're able to find a special, it's called a Pearl of Warding, you can offer that to the statue, and in return, the statue is going to grant you Zoltan's Warding. This is a buff. It doesn't really help your combat
3
too much,
legendaries.
but what it does is it gives you additional rewards, and you can see right there, there's kind of that glowing one to the side with the icon. That is a ward-woven chest that contains extra rewards if you're able to keep that buff. And so as you get better and better at the vaults, you're going to start basically challenging yourself to keep the buff. And you keep the buff by
I like that
avoiding
because
the
it's not
hazards.
just about pushing through,
And so
right?
the gameplay
We have now a
really
bonus
becomes
incentive of
focused
playing a
on
little
trying
bit
to
more
make sure that
cautious,
you're
of
moving
paying some
as cleanly as
attention.
possible through the vaults, in addition to fighting the enemies in order to
Bonus
get the
stakes.
highest payout.
And I, you know, if you make like mistakes, like I know I will make mistakes.
Yes,
like
I will too.
I am a person that gets hit by like every single trap under the sun. Are there ways of being able to like help mitigate like some of those types of
Yes,
mistakes?
you can have multiple stacks of buffs. So you know, one pearl is, I believe, 3 stacks.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go grind the overworld activity to get the pearls, you're like, okay, I have a bunch of stacks. I have a really good chance. And if you don't make it and no stacks left, there were 2 chests at the end, you still always get a loot. But the super great loot comes from Zoltan's Warding.
Yep.
Got it. So yeah, so there are opportunities for players to actually get multiple
Bubbles may not prevent the
chests,
stacks from lowering from getting hit
and
by
you can
traps.
actually
We'll see.
have multiple stacks of warding to essentially create a buffer if you know
Yes.
you're planning on playing a little bit more sloppy.
If
or
you
something
really,
like that.
really want to brute force your way through, you can, but you've got to invest a little more time.
Got it. No, that makes sense. That's great to know. And like I guess with the pearls of overworld activity.
Question is,
I
stacks
know
fall
that
of
has,
damage or just
like,
caught by trap but undamaged?
To earn those types of buffs. Like
I think it's
how
on
do
trap
players
hit.
actually-
Right,
Probably,
so,
not trap damage.
That's our second repeatable activity that
Because
I
else it's too
mentioned,
easy to
which is the
mitigate.
Arcane Tremors. And so
Listen,
Arcane Tremors
Arcane Tremors.
is a new type of overworld activity that's really localized around the entrances of the vault. So remember how we were talking about Malphas, and Malphas's sights have become grander now that he controls all the vaults. And so all the constructs are starting to spill out into Sanctuary and cause trouble. Additionally, some new types of hazards have unearthed and are starting to appear around the vaults. And so it's your job to every so often go in
There's a
and
lot.
beat back, all these construct invasions or incursions, essentially, that are creating the tremors. And so I can
This is
talk
how
a
you
little
level.
bit about this activity. We can queue up some video for that too.
Yeah, this
And
is how we
so,
level.
Here, you've arrived and you see basically a roaming band of constructs. And, obviously, it's your job to go in and kill them and send them back to where they came from. But that's not all you need to do within this activity. What you're looking to do to really advance the activity is look for
it's
these
like blood
cores
siphons.
that you can use to draw out Malphas's most powerful lieutenants. And so you're getting a core here from an obelisk, which is an overworld hazard, and you've got to make sure to not get hit by that. And if you collect enough cores, you're able to deposit them in a brazier, which you can see on screen here glowing. And the brazier is a signal that you are now challenging one of the heralds of Malphas. And the herald of Malphas you see appearing right there. You and hopefully a bunch of other of your friends will, gang up and defeat the herald of Malphas. Get some cool rewards in addition to those pearls that we were talking
Okay,
about
collect
before,
cores,
which you can then use to
kill
supercharge your rewards.
champions of Malphas.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know like this being an overworld activity, one thing that, and this is based off of feedback that we've gotten from the community.
Oh, this is going to be
as well,
great
even
for
with
leveling.
season
Bro,
of
this is going to be
Blood,
good.
There was Blood Harvest, which were overworld activities, and now there's kind of activities everywhere. And they all have different various rewards for the player, whether that's vaults, whether that's doing some of the activities on the overworld for this
Hey,
season.
Blood Harvest was
You have
always filled with
opportunities of
players,
actually
chat.
being
Let's
able
be
to
real
get
about
what's
that,
involved.
okay?
Yeah, our intention is for season 1, you kind of stayed in tunnels, and
Yep.
then season 2, you kind of stayed in the overworld most of the time. We didn't want to make the players feel like they're stuck and they can only stay in one place and this is it. So the intention is you do some dungeons, you do some overworld activities, maybe do some bounties along the way. You should feel like you're mobile and not.
Probably Whispers and
Yeah, and
Tremors
just,
at the same
another
time.
thing that I know we briefly touched on, which was vaults and how there are nightmare variations of that.
Yes.
This is a
And
good
that's
expansion of
something
Blood
that,
Harvest. Honestly, this is good.
Is additional.
This is a W.
To just going
Chat,
through vaults
this is
as
a W.
Well, so.
Yep. Yeah, the vaults are fully dungeons in that respect. And so we have the ability and have made nightmare versions of all of these dungeons. And the nightmare versions of the dungeons obviously have more difficult combat, but they also have a lot more rewards. So those chests we had talked about before, the ward-woven chests, you actually get more of those as you advance in the nightmare system. So then your vault runs become even more and more rewarding in that case.
Nightmare
Yeah,
Vault's
and
going to be
like,
nice.
How would you access something?
This is
like that
interesting.
specifically?
Right, so we're going to use the Nightmare Dungeon Sigil system, but we've created a way that the game can now award unique seasonal sigils, and in this case they're called vault sigils. And so we did that because, for those folks who really want to focus in on vault play, you can earn the vault sigils, and now you can target farm the vaults instead of leaving it up to random chance.
Very cool.
Awesome. One last dungeon, the
yes.
Mega Uber Dungeon. It's kind of it's very large. It's the best features of all the other vaults put into one, and that is where Malphas lives. And so
Okay.
you will be quest line, you'll defeat him, and then Uber version of him post quest line for the rest of the season.
Okay, Uber
And so
Uber
there is
Malphas.
an Uber version of Malphas that is even more challenging than the quest version. And he kind of sits parallel to the current boss ladder. So you don't need to do him for the boss ladder, but it's certainly going to be a bonus for you if you do.
Awesome. So yeah, way more additional content in this season, and we have a lot of different ways of being able to play.
They didn't say how to get to Uber Malphas.
Activities on the overworld.
That's what I'm missing
You
right
can
now.
actually use those activities to help you out in the vaults. You can do nightmare variations of the vaults. We have Uber vaults now, or with a larger, more difficult vault.
Probably you're getting
with,
material from normal
with,
vaults, I would say,
you know,
right?
A new boss here for season 3 as well, and this is just a little bit of what we have for season 3 with, of course, we have Seneschal constructs, which will be around with you all the time. And with that, we, of course, have one additional component to
one
season
more.
3.
That's right.
And that's with the Gauntlet and leaderboard. And I will caveat, like, I know we mentioned
We
this in
still
the
haven't
blog
heard anything
earlier
about
this
class
week, but
changes,
the
but it's
Gauntlet and
coming. He said
leaderboard
content.
are actually not going to launch at the start of this season. And that's really because, you know, we want players to actually
Uber Vaults like Uber Duriel,
the season
yes,
and actually grow
but-
and learn the season with their character.
but not Uber
before we
Duriel.
actually launch the leaderboards. So we will have information on when we actually do launch Gauntlet and leaderboards really soon. But Dan,
Minty,
I know
that's
wants
season
to
4
kind of
with the
dive
item
deeper
system overhaul.
into what leaderboards
So we'll have to wait a bit
are
for that.
and what the Gauntlet is for players, so they have a better idea.
Yeah, so a lot of you saw a taste at BlizzCon of what the Gauntlet and the Trials leaderboards are going to be. And so we can go in a bit more depth here.
Go on, show me footage.
and
Footage.
Hopefully start to answer some of your questions.
Footage.
So the Gauntlet is another new dungeon type. The Gauntlet is something that unlocks with the overall leaderboard feature in World Tier 4. And basically that means that it's targeting more of your in-game players at this point. Folks who have really decided on a build, they're starting to really round it out. It's become more powerful.
Diablo
and
cow
now
level?
They want to prove their might. Not just
Next
to
year.
themselves, but you know, obviously to show off and have bragging rights. So the Gauntlet itself, new type of dungeon, is kind of based around 3 different principles. The first is that it is fixed seed. The second is that it is non-linear. And thirdly, like I said, it's there to prove your might. And so I'm going to kind of unpack that a little bit.
Show us
Fixed seed means
an example
really that it is trying
now.
to be as fair as possible for everyone. Everyone gets the same gauntlet every week. And so you're not fishing for, you know, the best roll of a rift or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really a level playing field at this point. And let me tell you, that was kind of hard to do. Our game is not very good at doing one thing. It loves to do random things. But in this case, we felt competition demanded
World Tier
that it be
Rising,
fair.
sadly don't see that coming in any capacity.
Non-linear is really
Until
all
the next
about
expansion.
how the dungeon is laid out. It is not a dungeon where you travel from the beginning to the end. It's not about trying to get to the end as quickly as possible. It's about the choices you make while you're within that dungeon. And so the layout basically allows you to develop all manner of strategies. I mean, when we had people testing the dungeons, the gauntlets,
This is the
there'd be
moment.
arguments over, or not even arguments. Sometimes people would just kind of say, "What was the best
Where
path
you show
took?
footage.
Oh, I think I can do better than that." And so a lot of it is trying to figure out your way through the dungeon each week, and then finally proving your might is about killing enemies, and gathering what we're calling proofs of might, and then trying to get the highest score possible.
If
So
I would
it's
make my
not
YouTube
about
videos
just
like
going
they're
fast.
presenting their
Certainly going
content, no
fast
one would
helps,
watch me.
but it's really about how effective and efficient are you at combat. And that's going to be reflected in your score. And so at the end of a gauntlet,
Listen,
you're going to get
I was doing
a
this,
score,
just sitting there and talking, not
and,
showing footage.
You're going to say, okay,
People would just go watch somewhere else.
Can I do better than that? And we're going to say,
Speed isn't the
well,
metric.
you know,
Speed
we've
is
got
the
a couple of
metric,
targets you can try and hit,
but
really you're gonna be
killing
shooting for those
speed.
leaderboards.
Yeah.
not just running speed.
But let's circle back on strategies a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a little bit of video to help with that.
Okay,
so
let's see.
here's
Gauntlet
the
past the
gauntlet right here.
threshold, then it starts. So
it-
there's a starting
For all
line.
intents and purposes, looks like a normal dungeon. But
8
we
minutes,
said, again,
okay.
it's World Tier 4. It's targeting level 100 players. So
Straight up a
we're gonna
boss.
throw a dungeon boss at you right at the
Why not?
start.
Yeah, and I will note, like, I know we're mentioning level 100. Technically, you can do
Yes.
Gauntlet before level 100. It's just more, probably
That's-
more
that's actually
efficient
bad for
to
Blood
do it
Surge
at level 100 just
and good
because
for Bone
it is
Spear.
an end-game activity that,
I mean-
and it would be challenging.
I mean, if you think you're ready to tackle the gauntlet below level 100, by all means. It's just, it's not tuned that way.
That's crazy. You start with a boss. That's
And
crazy.
so here, you're fighting, you know, the Tomb Lord, and he's pretty powerful, but you're more powerful. In that case, you defeated him. Now, the cool thing about defeating that boss is it doesn't drop loot, it drops a shrine. And that shrine can then be used as a power-up to, you know, further increase your power within the gauntlet.
Oh, you
And there's
don't
other
have
types
to
of new
kill the
shrines
boss. You could
within the
just run
gauntlet,
past
too.
him.
We just hit previously here a pillar of proving, and that's a shrine that actually respawns all the enemies around you. Now, why would you want to do that? Because you want to kill them again and get their score, right? So we've got
Okay.
the pillar of proving, we've got the pillar of glory.
That's
is a
about like
way
the
to
play style.
basically get a multiplier on your score. And we've even got chests scattered all throughout the dungeon that you can earn keys for. and you see keys up in the corner on the HUD there. And those keys give you even additional score. So a lot of the strategy of a Gauntlet is, as a solo player at least, trying to find the most optimal path through it and use that as a way to, take your really cool build and get the highest.
It's going to be interesting. Like if you have a build that killed trash easy, just like go past the dudes and see what's coming.
Tomb Lord right there. And so you could technically take that Tomb Lord further into the dungeon if you want to.
Yeah. You're not stuck in the room.
Yeah, you're not stuck in the room.
You can draw that Tomb Lord right next to another shrine and do a combo, and then start building up even higher score. Then.
Exactly, and so that's the thing I think with Gauntlets, like we're going to start to.
That's
see
why we're playing
really,
Blood Surge, guys.
They change weekly, and these leaderboards will be weekly.
Or Bone Spear.
We're going to see players kind of create different combinations of what.
Will Eternal characters get access to the construct? Nope.
The best score possible.
Luke, sorry.
Taking advantage of the shrines, taking advantage of the chests, taking advantage of should I drag a bunch of enemies over here just because I know
seasonal
I'll have
content
the shrine ready and stuff like that. So it's going to actually be really interesting to see, and I think it adds even more complexity to the idea once you start adding additional players to it as well.
Yeah. No. We had a lot of fun testing this, especially in parties. Because parties can then start dividing and conquering what you need to do in order to
problem
get
is
that
they
high
really
score.
choose
And
not
so
a
we
good
expect
presenter
party
for this,
scores to
as
be
Chad is
frankly
saying.
ridiculous.
He makes things
Parties,
not
gotta
sound
play with friends
interesting.
there for that and stuff. And so,
Despite
I know
them
with,
being interesting.
leaderboards, when you're looking at leaderboards, I think we actually have an image of the leaderboards here, just like a quick throw up here. But you can see. Based off of how leaderboards are,
Class changes are still coming. We haven't gone over that yet.
For players, but then you can you have the ability of actually being able to filter by class, so you can see where you are within your own class.
Yeah. So each class does have a unique ladder, and that's those first 5 icons you see right there represent each of those classes if you're playing solo, and that was really important to us because we were talking about that component of fairness that we want. To make sure that the competition is a level playing field. We understand that a ball lightning sork, for example, probably shouldn't be compared to a rogue or something like that,
or a necro.
And so we allow each class to compete independently.
Isn't he the lead for season 3? Well, he's the
also
lead for season 3.
For
but
each of the different party sizes.
He might be good at his job, but he's not good at presenting. No offense.
Probably is going to be
choose people that are good at presenting and give them the info.
And so
simple.
That actually creates 8 ladders with leaderboards right there. And then we also multiply that by 2 because we have separate ladders for our hardcore players because they are, well, they're competing on hardcore mode. They should get their own ladders.
Exactly.
And then we also have filters and leaderboards for the different platforms.
I just want to go in with 3 necros, and all of us are going to play minion necro.
Other players on Xbox, same thing for PC, which is great to see.
I'm saying he's the lead and he can't make the season sound fun. Yeah, but that's because he's bad at presenting. He speaks like me in one single voice intonation.
And that all gets rolled up into a global leaderboard as well.
It all gets rolled up into one global leaderboard.
You are also able to filter by friend and by clan if you want to be able just to see the people you're familiar with and not compete with kind of the community at large.
Yeah, so it's catered and customized to allow players to actually really get.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. Not everyone is a good presenter. Simple.
Of how they may compete against, just maybe everyone, or maybe just everyone on Xbox, or maybe just your friends, or maybe just people in your clan, which is really cool to see. And of course, with leaderboards,
constructors for seasonal, yes. Eternal does not get them. It's only seasonal.
As you mentioned, it is a separate dungeon. There are kind of rewards associated with leaderboards.
That's right. So.
Okay, rewards. What are we getting?
Up here though, the ultimate reward of a leaderboard is glory and bragging rights.
Exactly.
And so, only the top 1,000 players during a week are going to be able to get on the leaderboards. And it's going to be a pretty big accomplishment. But
I want to be top 1,000 every week.
And so
every
not only do we have the weekly leaderboards,
okay, Chad?
We have the Hall of the Ancients, which is the top 10 players from every ladder each week get written to the Hall of the Ancients. Now, unlike the weekly leaderboard, the Hall of the Ancients don't reset. And so that is a permanent record of everyone.
And top 10 at least once, Chad, okay?
Each week, each season. and it's not going to ever get erased, going to be there forevermore.
So yeah, you always have bragging rights if you ever want to show to other people. Like,
Okay.
Even if you come back like
To play 20 hours a day to make the board, you don't need to play 20 hours a day to make the board. You just need to have that one good run and understand how it works. It's not about the time you put in, it's about how efficient you are. And I'm German.
You know, maybe don't hit the Hall of the Ancients, but they hit another threshold on the leaderboards. And we've also introduced another type of reward called seals.
So leaderboards are not about
Now,
getting more points piled up. Leaderboards are about that one run that's the best.
Ever.
Okay,
and so,
for you to understand. So it's not a grind more thingy.
For players,
it's
frankly,
a
like
play good thingy.
Who just, you know, we're not ready for the leaderboards yet.
And if you suck, you suck.
What the seals are is, you know, let me describe it this way.
I need a shirt.
So
if you suck,
we've got that
you
ladder
suck.
we were describing, right? And each rung of that ladder is going to have a seal associated with it.
Yeah.
And so as you get better and better each week for that gauntlet, you're going to be able to earn seals and start ranking up in terms of the seals that you have.
Can you put Hall of the Ancients on a resume? I'm gonna definitely use it on my wife.
I believe it's called Seal of the Blooded, which is the baseline.
Baby number 3 incoming.
To Seal
Tell
of
you.
the Worthy. And once you hit Seal of the Worthy, now you're ready.
Honey, listen, I'm in the Hall of Ancients.
Compete in the leaderboard. So
here's the screenshot.
I'm probably just going to be trying to get Seal.
You can Google it in the internet.
But it's going to be
right
pretty
there
cool.
with you.
Seal of the Worthy is still something that's pretty cool that you can display to other players to let them know that, you know, you're still pretty good at the leaderboard.
By day 2, we will know exactly how much monsters, elite bosses are worth point-wise and the most ideal strat. Only because you know the most ideal strat doesn't mean that you can execute it.
So
lots of cool stuff for season.
I read a
3.
book about
Gauntlet being a
lovemaking
huge
too.
part of it.
I'm still an amateur.
That Gauntlet won't be at the start of the season, but we do plan. It is a season 3 thing. It is coming in season 3. We just want to make sure that players can actually grow their characters at the beginning of season 3. It's not like a speed run type of thing, just to jump into Gauntlet.
The guys still joining on. Honestly, it's really not a good presentation today. It's the worst fireside chat they've had so far.
Hear more news about when Gauntlet actually hits.
They talk about
really,
WASD.
really
it's in the game and it works like WASD.
We'll
maybe later. Hopefully they show a clip. But I mean, it's probably like Diablo Immortal.
Absolutely. Season 3 components. Of course, with a new season,
also, chat, please tell me if I'm being too mean. I'm just trying to be honest how I feel about things. I don't want to be mean to anyone. Unnecessary.
Players and some data that we actually saw from players related to season journey and some optimizations that we've kind of made to make it a little bit more friendly, a little bit better for players specifically. I know one big thing that we ended up hitting on specifically was, for instance, like the one of the components for season journey last season was like, hey, you need to kill 10 people in PvP, which made it a little difficult for some people, and we even saw that in some of our data from players.
Horrible thing. Don't put PvP in there.
Over the data, we're listening to your feedback, and PvP objectives just aren't that popular.
Oh, Justin Barth, I am excited. Don't get me wrong. The content has me excited. The presentation, not.
The game and improving the objectives.
I am very, very excited for the content.
We decided to modify some of the PvP objectives that exist, and then there's one in particular.
But the presentation
just had such a low completion rate.
So yeah, there's been optimizations based off of player feedback and of course data that we've seen from that end. And then I know that one big thing is like some of the rewards associated with season journey.
Yeah, please make the season journey caches be worth it and not just trash.
It's super important for us to make sure that the season journey is rewarding. I mean, it's one of the backbones of our season, and if folks feel as if they're not compelled to, go in and participate, then that's a miss for us. So, we went back and really took a close look at the rewards.
I'm hearing a game dev shit on PvP, and I love it.
The first way we amped them up is we made sure that it was a good vehicle for earning some of those governing stones and tuning stones we talked about. And so you actually get an advanced look for some of those governing and tuning stones if you play the season journey.
Okay,
and
that's
so
good.
Get the drops
that's
a little
good.
Bit sooner,
just do season journey then.
More of a leg up with speccing out your Seneschal. The other thing we did is we looked at those later chapters,
I like that.
Champion and Slayer and Destroyer, and we said, wow, those still don't feel rewarding enough. I mean, we're asking players to do a lot there. We're asking them to go into the boss ladder, defeat bosses, really invest a lot of time. So we wanted to make sure those rewards felt meaty. And so we added a number of ancestral legendaries there, including some that are 925 eye power.
Nice.
Thank you.
Hopefully,
that's
hopefully
great.
that will be something that folks will really enjoy, and
that's
get more folks wanting
Double
to
you.
take that journey with the season.
Well done.
Also, something slightly related to season journey and feedback is we got some feedback that previously for our quest lines, you had to complete certain levels of season journey to even progress in the quest line. Got a lot of feedback. People didn't like it. We don't want people not to feel good with it. So starting season 3, you can just do it start to finish. There's no season journey break.
Yeah,
Very
so it's
Small
no
things,
longer
guys, but
says
these things
level
are
up to,
important. Okay,
chapter 3
listen.
of the season journey.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
Because
yeah,
before,
it's,
you could
and
only advance
again,
the season journey
feedback has
at
been
the
so
seasonal
helpful for
quest
us,
line.
especially
When you
as
did
we,
season journey
have
4,
been,
and
iterating
then
on
you had to
seasons
do
and going
season
from
journey
season
5
season,
to
so it's
actually
been
finish
super
the
great.
seasonal quest line.
Another big thing that's coming with at least season 3 is
Whoops.
it's a cosmetic.
Calm
that
down.
I think a lot of players have been looking
I love the
forward
style,
to.
though.
First, actually, let's
Chat,
actually
the
jump into,
Awoken Adamant
all
Armor
this-
set.
Actually, can we throw that graphic back up? There we go. Yeah, so there a lot new cosmetics coming. One big thing I know that was really popular with season 2 was the town portal.
Yeah,
skins.
love those town portals.
Everyone,
that town portal is
everyone rolling
gorgeous.
with the blood portal. I am not rolling with the blood portal. I'm like
But the Awoken Adamant Armor
one
set,
person that's rolling with like the angelic
I love
wings
that.
one.
I mean,
there's other
skins
people
don't
like
matter.
that, like shout out to those people. You're part of my crew. But there are also cool new skins and of course new emotes that are coming with the new premium battle pass for season 3. And then one item that I think we actually haven't really added to since launch is emblems specifically. Emblems are kind of like on your character title or on your character on the character bar for your screen. I have been rocking the Tree of Whispers one for a long time. I'm gonna put it into retirement because we are adding new ones here. I believe we're adding.
I don't even know where to change
3, I
that.
believe,
Yeah,
for this
so
season.
you will get 2
Renown
new
carries
emblems
over. Yes,
per,
all renown carries over.
your adventures in the season journey.
Sinister,
and then
good to see you there,
3
brother.
Through the battle pass.
Awesome. So yeah, we're adding in emblems. I know that's something that people were asking about because we've always had the 3 at launch.
As a
And
watchmaker,
so,
the mechanical
this now
engineer
gives you the
construct look is pretty
opportunity
cool.
of
It is,
collecting
Velociraptor.
additional emblems in
Also
season
cool jump,
3.
by the way.
And of course, season blessings
Yes.
are also getting adjusted for the new season because I know with the last season,
Yeah,
of course,
same
they were
seasonal blessings.
specifically catered towards Season of Blood. This one is, of course, being updated for Season 3, including items that affect like.
Let me quickly make a
tombstones,
screenshot.
For instance,
Yep.
specifically for players. So season blessings will be getting updated for this new season. And then I know that one thing that people
We're gonna have a
something
wrap-up
I
video
mentioned
tomorrow,
at the
chat,
beginning,
don't
which
worry.
is the boss ladder items. That is most definitely coming back for season 3, so players can expect to have the opportunity of being able to tackle through the boss ladder. And we actually do have some optimizations that we'll be talking about here really shortly related to being able to jump into boss ladders.
Yeah,
So,
guys, boss ladder
yeah,
is
lots
uber
of stuff
Duriel,
for
all the
season 3.
guys.
Big
Tons
season.
of
And they're
stuff for
planning to
season
make it
3.
better.
Biggest season yet for
Please,
Diablo 4.
tell me something.
And you know, we covered a lot. I'm looking forward to people
Because right
jumping
now
in.
it's shit.
It begins on January 23rd.
Sorry.
Where players
Duriel
will be able to
exists,
actually
nice,
jump in
thank you,
and,
but still
create
it's
characters
shit.
for
It
the
creates its
season.
own
So,
slew of problems.
Dan, Madeline, thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really appreciate it. And then I know for the next part of our broadcast, we're actually going to use some amazing tech. First time we're doing this because we now
Season
have 2
3
different
drops
sets.
in 5
One
days
here in Albany,
from
which
now.
is themed like Cathedral of Light. You know, we're in
Yep.
a colder environment. It is cold outside in Albany. I'm not used to that as a California person.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I landed lots of snow. But it's like Cathedral of Light, Fractured Peaks, you
Yep.
know, kind of feeling. And of course, we'll be going to Irvine, where we're in like the, I hate to say the bits of hell. Irvine
I
is
mean,
not
thank
like
you
hell,
for
I
the
promise.
information
I
about the
lived there.
weather.
But our studio is like that, and that we are going to be joined by Adam Jackson. Adam, hopefully you're there. There you
Could
are.
we go
Hello.
on with the
I hope
show?
You can hear me. I'm always paranoid.
I can hear you live from Irvine.
Cool.
And Adam, you know, they always call it the Adam and Adam show whenever you and I are on. And of course, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the balance changes coming with Season 3 and what players can expect, and a little bit about some of the philosophy as well.
Okay, class changes. I'm ready.
What you
Give it to me.
have kind of, or what you want to actually present to the players of what they can expect going forward, especially with Gauntlet being involved. So do you want to take it away?
Yeah, totally. Got lots to talk about today.
Let's
so
get ready, chat.
I'm pretty excited. So I'm really going to be going over 3 different major topics today when we talk about what's coming in for Season 3 and beyond. So the first one is, I think, what everybody expects. We have some new class updates coming. A little bit of a caveat here, though. I'm not going to be going over every single note or every single update.
I think it's
but
loud
I'm
enough.
going to give you kind of a high level of what's coming for every class. But you'll definitely find out some more stuff when you look into the patch notes and see other things we're doing. And patch notes are going to be coming out very soon, like tomorrow. Is
tomorrow,
my understanding.
actually, yeah. They're coming out tomorrow, so players can expect to see them tomorrow. We'll give you a preview today, but you'll see the full patch notes tomorrow.
Correct. So it'll be a preview, but you'll still get an idea of kind of what we're thinking and what we're doing. Next, I want to do a brief explanation of kind of how we currently view class balance. The game's gone through a lot. We've been out for a little while. We also have the Gauntlet coming, so a lot of changes coming, and we're going to be adapting to it. And then the last thing is kind of a roadmap for our plans for seasonal updates going forward. I kind of want to give people some more concrete ideas of when we update and how we update.
Okay, surprise
so first we're going to start with the class updates. So first for the Barbarian, we've got a few things going on. The first one is some big improvements to Charge. Right now Charge is, you need a bunch of different legendaries and other effects to make it really kind of sing and be powerful. And we're going to be moving a lot of power to the baseline skill from legendaries and other effects. It's going to do a lot more damage now than it did before.
Hey, let's
might
buff
be insane,
Barb.
But I think it's really cool, and so we're going to do it. But you can see
Why?
here kind of Season 2 what the damage numbers look like. Did like 1,200, and then Season 3, it's like 12,000. So, like 8x or something like that. So it's going to do a lot of damage now, baseline. Of course, legendaries are adjusted to compensate, but yeah, you should
I mean,
have a lot
they
more
said
fun
they're
with it
not
out the gate.
nerfing anything anymore, guys.
We're also doing a lot of buffs to key passives, such as
They're
Walking
just balancing
Arsenal,
the broken things.
to kind of keep them up to date with the one that most people pick, that shall not be named. And then also we're adjusting a lot of shouts. We got a lot of feedback that players don't really like feeling kind of mandatory that they put all the different shouts on their bar. I played a Barbarian last season. I know how it feels.
The real
So
patch
we're
notes
trying
are
to kinda
coming
walk
tomorrow,
this
guys.
line
Okay,
where
with
we want it to
everything
be
wrapped
fun
up.
And you can put all the shouts on your bar, but it's not required, and you kind of feel like there's good reasons not to. So we've done some changes there.
Okay, that's not much.
And, if I were a betting man, I'd say I'd put my money into, Charge and maybe some key passives as far as things.
I mean, they want to get away from Hota and
So I think
Whirlwind,
you'll be,
and maybe you're a
kinda
Charge
happy,
Barb
with our
now.
changes
Who
there.
knows?
Adam, whenever we have you on, you have to talk about class stonks, and this is
I
class
do like my
stonks.
stonks.
Yes.
Honestly, I like the picture. It's quite good
Next,
for a
let's go over
thumbnail.
to the Sorcerer. Again, these aren't all the changes. These are just high-level stuff. First one is, we know that Sorcerer players have kind of had some
Lightning
pain trying
Spear
to apply
critical
vulnerable
strikes
to
make
enemies,
things
so
vulnerable.
we're
That's
giving it to
nice.
Lightning Spear now. So just baseline, Lightning Spear, when it crits enemies, will now make them vulnerable. So you have another avenue that isn't Frost Nova.
So I'll make a wrap up of
FYI.
this, by the way, Chad, and
We
I'll
also
make
have
a
some
wrap up of
buffs
the
to
patch
various
notes.
Paragon
Okay,
legendary
both
nodes that you
things.
can look forward to that kind of open up or make some things stronger. And last but not least, for you Meteor fans, Meteor build is getting quite a few updates and buffs across the board. We also are giving them a new unique that kind of changes
new
how you
unique for
think
Meteor
about it and how it
Source.
plays that I'll be showing off in a little bit. So
Can't wait to see it. It's so good. It's so good.
yeah, totally. So again here, Meteor
That's cool
players
changes.
and
Honestly, I don't
elemental
play
summoner
Sword,
players,
but
like the ones
I
that
like
to use
that.
the different
I mean, I
conjurations.
understand
So
how
we got some
useful this
stuff there
is.
in the legendary or the Paragon legendary node space that should make you happy. And next we've got the Rogue. So we've got quite a few changes coming to the Rogue. There's a lot of buffs to really
No,
underuse
Necro's
skill
coming,
and
Necro's
skill
coming. Wait,
upgrades.
wait,
You know,
wait.
a lot of people use, Twisting Blades and Poison Imbue and things like that, and we're really targeting some of the things that people aren't using so much and giving them some love.
Necro's going to have the biggest. It's going to have two whole pages. Wait for it.
I think it's the Precision Key passive is getting a bit of a rework, and a lot of stuff coming for things like Penetrating Shot and stuff like that.
Changes
And we're also
to all the
updating pretty much
uniques.
all the range uniques, including Windforce, Skyhunter, and Eaglehorn. They're going to be quite a bit more usable and powerful, I think. So here, again, some buffs coming really to range builds in general, and also Caltrops, which is a bit of an underused skill that we're giving some love. And then we got the Druid next.
They're letting us wade.
So here we've got some buffs coming to various spirit boons.
What
that
spirit
aren't
boons
seen
are
as
already
much play as others.
overpowered?
As an example, Prickle Skin is the one that gives you some thorns. The amount there is being increased by a lot. You can see here in Season 2, it gives about 300 at this level. And then Season 3, I think it's doing about 4x what it used to.
We deleted Necro.
So some big buffs coming to various spirit boons that are underused.
Fuck you.
And then also Rabies is
there's a
getting
new
quite
legendary?
few upgrades. We got a new legendary coming in for Rabies. That's pretty neat. And then we also have a buff to enhance Rabies. So for all of you that love spreading your poisons among enemies, you're going to be a little bit happy in Season 3. So here again, we got some buffs. I put Rabies here, but also Lightning Storm, and we'll be showing off a new unique there too. I'm actually probably going to play Lightning Storm in Season 3 because it's got a really cool unique coming that we're going to so you'll have that to look forward to.
Lightning Storm unique, Chad?
I'm so excited for you to show these uniques. I think people are going to probably cater their builds for those classes to some of those uniques.
Yeah, they're pretty, I mean, we have uniques coming for every class. We're just
Necromancer, ladies and gentlemen, my forte.
But they're pretty cool. Last but not least, we've got Necromancer. So Blood and Iron Golems. So fun fact for those of you who didn't know, but the Bone Golem, when it attacks enemies with its normal attack, it actually cleaves and hits nearby enemies. And the Blood and Iron Golems didn't, and they were very jealous and unhappy. And so we just decided to give it to them. So now
They're
all
still
your golems,
useless?
Your golem friends are going to AoE cleave when they attack. I didn't put in a note here, but also just golems in general are getting some buffs, and I think we even some other minion buffs across the board. But you can see those in the patch notes. And then
Gonna wait for
quality
tomorrow.
of life change coming is that Bone Prison, friendly players and your minions can now move through them. We've seen some situations. I know
Bone
I've
Prison is
played it,
useless, but it's
where
still
you'll
good.
Bone Prison an enemy and you're a minion build, and then your minions actually can't get to the enemy, or they want to go somewhere else, and the Bone Prison actually blocks them. So now you and your friends will just be able to go through it. It'll be a lot more usable. And then we got a lot of Bone Spirit upgrades, including a redesign of one of the aspects, which is the aspect of Swelling Curse. I think Bone Spirit players are going to be really happy. So you can see here on the left is kind of the old version of Bone Spirit, and it basically dealt increased damage based on distance traveled. And the gameplay there was you want to be kind of far away from your enemy and then let it slowly creep towards them. It would do more damage. But it turns out Bone Spirit players really just kind of shotgun it and try and get next to enemies. So it wasn't really very usable or good most of the time. So
The
now
maximum
we
is
changed
right too
it
for
where
each
this
enemy
legendary
hit
gives you
by.
everything a Bone Spirit player would want. You get more crit chance on Bone Spirit, which means its CDR goes down thanks to its upgrades. And then for when you hit enemies, your max essence is temporarily increased, which means more damage on Bone Spirit. So this really just kind of gives you everything that you want.
That 2 is a joke, though. It's still interesting.
And so here again, we got some buffs coming to Bone Spirit and to Golems for the Necromancers.
Again,
So
guys,
if you
this
either of
is
those, I think
all
you'll do
minimal.
pretty well
The
this
whole
season.
patch notes are coming with all the details,
these are
and we'll
just some
break that
examples. We got
down
a lot
like in
more
a
stuff
like
in the
Necro's
patch
getting
notes
its own
for everybody.
video. Okay, we're getting like
Next,
no.
let's go
No.
over the
Chad, this
couple
is not
new
it.
uniques. So the first one is that Meteor one I talked about. So this unique is the Starfall Coordinate. It basically being like a spender skill into a charge-based skill. So now you can actually run Meteor with other things like Fireball or Incinerate or Firewall, and it makes it into a very powerful cooldown-based skill that summons a bunch of meteors. It also synergizes with your enchantment, and you basically just drop a lot more meteors on
2
around, like,
charges.
carpet
Sounds
bombing
really
enemies
cool.
with them. It's pretty awesome.
So you can have multiple.
And then the next one is the new Druid unique. This is for Lightning Storm. Basically, what this
This is
does
all gonna
is
let
it
in our
makes your
Season
Lightning
3
Storm
document,
grow
Chad,
quicker, so
just
you
in
can
case
get
you
up to
wonder.
that maximum amount. I think it's 4 or 5 stacks really quickly. And then also when your lightning bolts crit, an additional lightning bolt will come down and do more damage. And that additional lightning bolt also it's still a lightning storm lightning bolt. So you get all of your synergies with all of your other effects. So basically it turns into lightning everywhere.
Pretty good.
Which is just pretty cool when you combine it with all of the other lightning-based legendaries and stuff.
I hope you can get them early.
Next, now that we're done with the class updates, I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we've been viewing.
So just a short update, guys. These are not the actual changes. This was just an overview of roughly what's coming.
So
and then
one of
there's the
things that we've
patch
been
notes with
talking
all
about
the
a lot on
details.
team is kind of thinking about how should we be updating the
But
game
they
when it comes
honestly
to
they
buffing
needed
and
to give us more
nerfing classes
details
and
because
builds,
this was
and then
like
also
really
how often should
half-assed
we
now.
update it? And I kind of want to get a little into the weeds here. To
I have
understand
more
where we're
questions
coming from.
than before.
So first is that we want to balance kind of 2 competing concepts that are always at odds with each other that we believe players want that really make for a fun game and a fun experience, particularly in Diablo 4. But this is honestly kind of true for most games as far as when they update when it comes to balance.
Kronsauf, yeah, just some
So
bards.
the
Some
first one is
legendaries
we
are,
believe
some
that
uniques are
players
pain to
really
get.
want to feel like you all can have fun with powerful builds that you discover. Kind of a core part of playing these games is, you think outside the box, or you discover something, or maybe even you follow a guide, but you find something that's really cool and awesome, and then you want to go wreck demons and
Yep.
kill stuff with it.
Lightning
right? You
Storm
wanna
is definitely
feel like you
intriguing.
have this sense of permanence.
When would
where,
be live?
you
5
can
days,
make something that's
23rd.
going to be cool, and you can go and have fun with it. But then on the flip side,
It's kind of uninteresting right now.
here, we also believe that players want the meta to refresh so that the same things aren't obviously the best choices forever, right? Looking back at Season 2, easy thing to point to is Ball Lightning, right? Ball Lightning was really fun and awesome. Newsflash, it was also kind of bugged. But, during Season 2, a lot of people had a lot of fun with it. But we believe that, if we just kept things like Ball Lightning...
Tell
or
that to
Hoda
Bone
Barb or these
Spear,
things that are
Chad,
really
on the
powerful for many
Necro
seasons over and over,
for
not
3
only
seasons
sorcerer
now.
players in the case of Ball Lightning, but even players of other classes would start to feel this kind of gravitational
The Blood
pull
Surge build is
and a lot of
insane,
pressure
but
to
we
play
all
the
know
things that are
how
obviously
decent
more
Bone
powerful
Spear
than
is,
other
right?
things. And then players would start to feel pigeonholed into being forced to play very specific things. And so kind of this dichotomy of these two competing factors where you want to have a sense of permanence and finding things and having fun and not being afraid that Blizzard's going to take it away from you. But you also want to have a sense of, the same thing isn't strong forever. And you look at the leaderboards.
I don't mind
or you
having
look on
a new
forums or
strong build
wherever
every
you look for your
season,
feedback,
so I don't have
and
to
everybody
play
just is
Bone
playing the
Spear
same
every
things, and you
time,
feel like,
right?
everything
Or
is
Blood
viable,
Surge.
right?
I mean, if next season Minions is the
So,
strongest,
in this
fine.
vein,
And then the season Shadow.
Some of the larger changes that
and
you're
then
gonna
Blood,
see in Season 3
right?
that are kind of bug fixes or nerfs. And before a lot during BlizzCon and before we've talked about how you want to give players a heads up of what's coming. So these are the things you're going to see at the launch of Season 3 that are kind of...
I mean, that's what ARPGs are about, change and adapting to the change. Personally.
Or enhancement, is causing it to deal too much damage, obviously. The rogues have also been getting extra combo points via very specific unique interactions.
That was a bit shit, but with T-Ball's will, they could get infinite combo points.
Twisting Blades, again on the rogue, and Poison Imbue have had some interactions.
I want 2 builds per character to viable. Necro has 8 builds, Alpha Taiga.
The Druid very recently kind of climbed to the top of the power level in the game due to kind of an unfortunate
I'm just gonna follow some of my
interaction with
guides.
Blurred Beast, where you can double dip damage. And really, we've had a couple cases like this earlier in the game, so we're redesigning this legendary power, where you can kind of apply a dot or some effect, and then something else does damage based on the dot, or dealing damage on something else, and then that damage double dips, and then just goes into crazy town really quick. So we're nipping that in the bud. For the Barbarian, the Hammer of the Ancients, the Violent Hammer of the Ancients, which is one of the upgrades that you can get, was always being applied whether or not you had it, and we're cleaning that up. So basically, everybody would always take the other upgrade.
Overpower is too strong. General, no, don't tone down
this is more
Overpower.
of
What
an
the
oversight,
fuck?
Not a bug, but it was kind of just too strong in general.
Uncool.
If you remember when Season 2 launched, we redid all the combat math in the game, and back then Overpower, nobody was really playing it, and then we really wanted to give it some love, and we definitely did. So it's a little bit too strong right now, and so it's just getting toned down.
Robbed.
And now next I want to talk about our season roadmap.
Absolutely robbed.
About how we think about how
Overpower is good, but it wasn't
to
crazy.
know
I mean,
kind of
only on
what
Barb.
we came to and what we're going to be doing.
But,
So
but not
right
on
now, our
Necro.
plan
It
is
was
to update
balanced
the
on
game
Necro
twice
and
per
on
season
Druid.
when it comes to
That's come
class
on.
balance,
Like if
and really just
if
class
Barb is gonna
updates.
ruin it
We're
for
gonna
us
do
now,
one
like
update at the launch of a
screw
season
that.
where you're going to see more kind of large scale things. The meta is kind of expected to shift a little more. And then we also plan to do a mid-season update, and that'll come somewhere around the center of the season, depending on the exact.
They made him
release of
quieter.
the
Why did
patch
you make him
cycle.
quieter?
So you'll get a little bit smaller of an update
In
there.
their
but still
stream.
something that'll do a bunch of buffs, and we're going to detail what you can expect from these. So first, let's talk about season launch and what you can expect when a new season comes, when it comes to classes and systems, so on in balance.
What the fuck was the Barb change? Only
So
buffs.
the first thing is we're going to be giving you some new content. You can count on this. We're going to be giving new legendaries and uniques that are added to the game.
Okay.
The amount that we do can be variable, but what we can commit to is that every class should be getting something new. In this
That's cool.
space.
I
So
like
you can
that.
expect some
Every
amount of new
season, I want new legendaries and
some
new
amount of
uniques.
that'll
That's
give
for
you new
sure.
toys to
Else
play
it's
with.
boring, right?
Next, there are balance updates. We'll be doing both balance and design updates for all the classes. And by design updates, I mean, some more in-depth things where we change around
Blood Surge will get hit
functionality rather than
probably.
just moving numbers up and down. Again, the amount is variable here. It kind of depends on the needs of the game at the time and how much other stuff that we're doing. But as a general idea, just so you can know what to expect, we plan to do many buffs to things that are underperforming, a few nerfs to the things that are really overperforming, and then bug fixes, which can honestly be both buffs or
I'm a
nerfs,
big fan of
depending
buffing
on
things
what
that
the
are
actual bug
underperforming
is.
to just make them
And then we also
viable,
plan to
right?
do other game updates. You know, our team isn't really only just doing classes. We also look at monster balance and feel. We do systems with drop rates and things like that. How quickly players can get things that let them have access to different types of content, all of that. So you can expect that at the beginning of a season.
Can't wait to see the
And then
actual
last but
patch
not least
notes.
are larger
I
updates
love
and
patch
initiatives,
notes.
right?
Please
These
give them
aren't
to me.
guaranteed every season, but we want to launch these when they're ready. These are kind of, you know, the big things that really shake up the game and change how players fundamentally interact with things. An example of some things here, or a couple things that we did in Season 2, you know, we updated the resistance math and combat math to the game, and that was kind of a really big change of just
I mean,
how,
I just want them,
players
like,
interact
even if
with
they just
monsters
buff
and
the
how they interact
golem,
with their
I'm
gear and
okay with
stats and
that.
how they scale things.
Because I just want
But
one
we
of my
also do
minions to
support
not be
for other
completely
things that might not
useless.
seem so
Okay?
obvious, like content like Abattoir of Zir, where we have to go and look at the monsters, we have to look at the scaling, we have to when they do these things. So, you know, we support all of those larger updates and initiatives as well, and you can expect these kinds of things going forward in seasons. But again, not every season. Just depends on when it's ready to come out. And next, let's talk about the mid-season patch and kind of what that looks like. So the first thing is we want to bring back previous season fan favorites. You know, one of the nice things about a seasonal kind of model for a game
Are we
is that
keeping the
can
malignant
experiment with
rings?
things and
That's
then
my
bring back the
question.
things that work. So an example of where we did this before was the malignant rings. You know, a lot
I mean,
of
I
the
think they're
malignant
in,
parts
right?
Season
We're
1 had
probably
really
going to keep
cool
them.
designs that people really liked and got attached to, and we were able to bring that back in the form of unique rings, right? Going forward, we think that the way that we bring back these designs could be legendaries, uniques, or even other ways, right? Like we can maybe just add it as paragon nodes or passives or actives or other ways.
Okay,
of
so we're
skill
getting
tree.
blood powers,
We
chat,
don't really want to be
somehow.
limited to it must always be unique.
That's interesting. I like that.
But what we do want to limit ourselves to is that we definitely want to promise that we can do one thing per class. And we also think that we can pull from all seasonal
So
designs. not
something
only
like
from the
something blood
previous
power wise
season, right?
mid-season
If
update.
The design of the power mechanic of a season doesn't really fit into something that's evergreen for players, then we don't want to be limited to trying to shoehorn it
We
in.
need to
may
start
just
new
bring
chars,
back,
yes,
you
from
know,
level
maybe
1 on.
A lot of malignant hearts. Or
That's
a
why you
lot
get
of
a level
blood
guide
seals.
for me and everything.
People really
Level
got attached
guide,
to. We
how
don't
the
want to be
mechanics
limited to,
work,
like, oh, we can only bring back
best
4 or 5
classes,
things, and then we can
best
never bring
leveling
more. So
class,
we're just gonna kind of look like
everything.
what happened in the past and people liked, and then bring some of those things back.
Get you the whole thing.
And then the balance updates, we also want to do this in the mid-season patch. The scope of this will be smaller compared to the beginning of the season. And we also want to do other game updates, you know, like I said before, to monsters, systems, drop
Okay.
rates, and some.
By the way, chat, this is my first time doing this live to a fireside gathering, chat. So if you have any feedback, if I'm talking too much, if I'm not talking enough, if I should yell more at them, always welcome. I mean, you can just Twitter at me, you can just join the Discord, or you can just yell in the chat. But, you know, thank you for everyone actually being here so far already.
Kind of thinking in philosophy here is that
I'm
we know
just
that unlike
winging
the
it,
beginning of the
essentially.
season, players spent a lot of time farming for these things, and we don't
Always
want
more
you
yelling.
to be
I knew
scared
it.
of making powerful stuff and then knowing that we're going to take it away if it's too strong.
People
right?
spend time farming
We
for
wanna
things,
have a
don't
sense
want
of
them to be
permanence
nerfed. Yeah,
from the
this
start of
is
season
this
that
is
you
so
can try and
important,
target
guys, that they
something that's
don't
cool
nerf
and
something
then
in the
finish
balance
it.
updates, because no one wants
But,
to get the
you know,
stuff nerfed they
sometimes
farmed
we need
for.
to if something's way too far out of control, particularly now that we have the Gauntlet coming in. And our plan is to really broadcast the nerfs, whether they're design or bug fixes, before the mid-season update, so that you have an idea of what's coming, so that you can adjust your builds and play accordingly. So now let's give a couple examples here of kind of, you know, if these things that existed in Season 3 and beyond, how would we think about and how would we handle these in a mid-season patch? So, you know, in Season 2, like I mentioned before, the Hammer of the Ancients, this upgrade, Violent Hammer of the Ancients, was just always being applied, right? Basically, overpower builds were just getting 30% more multiplicative damage for
Only
free.
Bob overpower
It
builds
was a
were bringing
bug,
OP.
not intended at all.
No one else.
This is something that we would fix in a mid-season patch. So, like, if this happened in Season 3, you could expect that in the mid-season patch, we would bug fix this, and, you know, that would be a nerf to that build.
That's good.
On the other hand, a little bit more complicated one. So if you remember Ossified Essence, you Necromancer players, this was your key passive, and it was really, really, really good. It basically says that your bone skills deal more damage based on each point of essence you have above 50. The gameplay here that we had intended was, you know, you try and increase your mass essence, which is a fun little itemization game that you have. But then you also have some gameplay of trying to only cast and then get back to max as soon as you can.
Yep.
So you care about resource regen. Like, there's all these cool gameplay and itemization things going on. What we didn't anticipate, though, was that players would get as much max essence as they were able to.
Well,
or
yeah,
that they were
everyone
able
that
to keep it
farmed
as
Uber
high as they
Uniques
were able to.
in
Those were really
Season
just
2
oversights
loses
on our
them.
part.
Yep.
So then in Season 2, you know, we nerfed this by 50%.
1,000
but
Duriel
probably
tries for nothing.
50%. And I still think this is probably one of the strongest key passives in the game. That's how good it was. It's really good. But, you know, it still keeps all the gameplay that it had before. So what if this existed in Season 3? Well, here, this would kind of be more of a question mark for us.
Yeah.
We
Great.
may fix it in the mid-season patch. We would definitely fix it at the start of next season. But technically, this isn't a bug.
This existed in
It's something
Season
that
3. We wouldn't
is
know what
just
to do.
really strong that we kind of had an oversight about. Here, we would be looking at
Why give us
community
this
feedback.
example?
How badly is it warping the meta? Are other builds in Necromancer really not able to function at all because this one is so much better? We'd be looking at more things like that are qualitative types of feedback, and then make a judgment call there. And, you know, in these cases, this is where it gets really noodly. Sometimes we may be wrong, but we're going to really try and lean on
They
the
have a
side of
plan
not
for everything.
changing the
They're
list.
definitely
We really feel like
prepared.
it's needed to be
0.75% exactly.
So, again, kind of a recap, a TLDR. First, our strategy here with players is to communicate early and communicate often. We want to let you know, particularly when it comes to
Schwierig,
what's
as
coming,
we say in Germany.
what we're thinking. And
It's
then
difficult.
again, at the start of the season, you can expect some new content in the form of legendary.
The patch notes are coming tomorrow, Katie. They're not going to show us any patch notes. I'm not sure why they're really focusing so much on this, to be honest.
We could do better at. Lots of buffs, few nerfs, but bug fixes that are both buffs and nerfs to keep the game in a healthy state.
Are they
And then
fixed
in the
inventory?
mid-season
We get
patch,
one
you
more
new
stash tab.
content in the form of previous fan
Uno.
favorites from other seasons. And then we will be doing a balance patch. It'll be a bit smaller. It'll be
So
mostly
this
buffs, and
part
then bug
was
fixes that are both
longer
buffs and
than the
nerfs,
class
and
changes.
hopefully few to no design nerfs is what we're going to try and commit to. And so again, the reason why we're doing this is we really want you to
Class
know
changes
kind of
3
where we're
minutes
thinking,
to
and we wanna
5,
try and commit
this
to concrete things that
15.
we can. And this is something that we feel we can commit to you as far as what we bring.
Anything about aspects yet? Nope. There's new aspects
Again,
coming
last
and new
thing
uniques
is
coming,
that,
but
you
no
know, we are
details.
open to feedback
Well,
on
we
this.
got
This
2
isn't set in
uniques. I can
stone
show
that
them at the end
forevermore
again.
will be only
And they're
doing
also in the
pseudo-updates
Season
per
3
season
doc in
when
the
it comes to
description.
balance. We're trying to find that right amount of time where you feel like you can experiment and have fun, but the same thing isn't strong forever.
Oh, we
So,
definitely have to
please
remove
give us your
snapshotting.
feedback, let
Snapshotting
us
is
know what you
bullshit.
think. But this is how we're going to start, and then we're going to go from here. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam, for going over all the balance changes coming for Season 3, along with the roadmap, which was really important. And so that's a big thing that we will make sure we do.
This
is
was all
obviously
about
communicate
building
often,
trust,
communicate
right?
early.
To give us a
specific
feeling that
about,
they care,
or
and
specifically
they
about all the
are in
balance changes
charge
that
and know
may
what
occur
they're doing.
with the start of a season, and of course with that mid-season patch, and just for like better understanding within the community. If you follow
So we're not
versions
mad
of
at them,
our updates,
technically.
we usually do client patches with big patches.
Attempt failed, yeah.
Usually mid-season
Attempt
patches land around around the 0.3 variant of a patch if you want to go specifically in that. We do have a lot of other quality of life items that are also coming within Season 3 that we do want to get into before we jump into Q&A.
Quality of life, okay.
And we did want to tackle some of these because these are really big and these are based off of players and what they're telling us.
Oh, we're
and
going to
of
talk
course,
about WASD
things and
movement in a
improvements
second,
that
chat.
we've already talked
Get ready.
about beforehand
WASD
that are
movement.
now actually coming into
Also, don't forget to
Diablo
like the
4.
stream on YouTube, by the
One
way.
big
It
thing
helps
I
a
know
lot.
that we mentioned in one of our prior streams with a campfire chat, Mr. Joe Shelley, our game director, actually brought up, which was Helltides. Helltides was something we learned within Season 2 and Season Blood is everyone really enjoyed Blood Harvest, and Blood Harvest was always up. Helltides, though, were kind of timed in specific moments, and Helltides was something that we wanted to improve upon for players, and now Helltides will actually be up pretty much all the time, so players will be able to actually jump into Helltides whenever they need to.
Do you think
There is a
Cinders
5-minute
stay
break,
from Helltide to
kind of reset
Helltide?
the zone and stuff, but every hour you will be able to jump into
Or do they
a
reset?
Helltide, which is great. So it's more opportunities to earn cinders, and of course more opportunities to earn and obtain loot, or even things like living steel and stuff to kind of go through the.
They probably
the
reset, right?
slaughter, which is
But it
great.
would be could be
The
annoying.
other thing is, and this is a controversial topic because I don't know how people actually pronounce
should stay.
this, but I've always called it WASD. Other people call it WASD. Some people call it WASD.
We need a poll up stat.
I almost want to put a poll up within.
I mean, it's probably going to reset,
Maybe
but
you guys can chime in here
I would
and let
prefer
me
if they
know
stay,
what you
personally.
prefer calling it. I'm going to call it WASD, but WASD controls are coming to Diablo 4. This is actually something we talked about.
I'm really excited
way
for
back at the
WASD
launch
controls,
of
by the
game.
way.
We heard a lot of
It's kind of
players
fun if you're
asking
in certain
specifically
situations.
for additional control opportunity or options for them, and this actually is a great feature that Drew, I know, who's on the D4 team. Shout out to Drew. I know he's watching, but and he's here in this office. But at least for WASD, it
Two options. Take the one you don't
offers
like, and they'll
more,
make it happen. True.
accessibility options for players, which is great to see. So WASD controls are going to be in Diablo 4, and this is something we've been talking about.
Yeah. We're also really lucky it came online just as we were putting all those hazards in the dungeon.
Exactly.
So now, the
Yeah,
players
that's what
have
like
even
if you're
more precise
playing
control
the
to
dungeon,
avoid.
right?
Mazda
And you need to
feels
min-max
very
around
good.
traps.
Trap.
I prefer to have
However you want
WASD.
to pronounce it. That is going to be.
They like WASD?
Chat likes WASD according to Rich.
It's
my-
okay to
my
be
community
wrong.
manager. But yeah, it is coming to the game. And what's really great about this as well is that it is customizable. You can actually change things out and stuff if you like. So really happy to see
The
it.
things
We're
PS5
happy to
player don't
hear,
care about. I
feedback
know
from players
Sinister.
and
This is
their
obviously
experiences
for
with it, once they
PC
jump
players
into Season
exciting.
3. And then, of course, we have a new respec mode coming to the skill trees.
Yes.
That's
this
kind of
is,
useless, honestly.
Respecing on skill trees has always been a little difficult. And
Just
now
make
there's a
respecing
more
for free.
optimized way of being able
Why
to
is
do
respecing
so.
not for free? I don't
Another
need a
big,
new respec mode.
community
The
item that a
respec
lot
mode
of
is
players
just
have been
being able to
asking
refund
for.
some points
This
easier,
kinda
but
goes,
bullshit. Just
hand in
make it
hand
for
with the
free.
opportunity of actually taking your whole Paragon board and completely resetting it before, as opposed to doing it one by one that we had beforehand.
It's a lot less finicky now.
Yeah, there's more opportunities
Simple
to
as it
actually
is.
respec and do it in a much more organized fashion with this. And then this has been a huge one. This is specifically for console players. I probably get this
Something
question
PC players don't
maybe
care
like
about,
once
chat.
every single day about gold trading. Obviously, more gold is
Console
in the,
players couldn't enter the amount of gold or
Diablo
something like that.
economy or ecosphere with season, especially since season 2. And for console users, like trading gold has been very difficult. It's been slow. Almost, it's you could be there for quite a while trying to trade a significant amount of gold. And so the gold trading UI has been updated for console users, so they'll be able to actually trade gold without having to maybe spend 5 to 10 minutes doing so in one trade. So I know that is a big thing that players have been asking for, so we're happy that's actually being included. And then this one is also kind of calling back to what Joe Shelley had brought up in a prior campfire chat, which was higher item scaling in World Tier 4. I think he used a really good example of how world bosses was kind of like, hey, you get 925 gear off of them, and at times it feels like maybe
More
that's like the
sources
most
for 925
optimized way of
gear.
doing it, and it didn't feel very rewarding in other types of activities, such as like nightmare dungeons, for example. So
Tier 90
higher item
plus
scaling in World Tier 4 is actually coming into Season 3 and
Drops
going forward for
925
Diablo
now.
4. So even when you're doing like higher nightmare dungeons, you're gonna have way more opportunities of actually obtaining eye level 925 gear. As
It's already
opposed
confirmed.
to,
Tier 90 plus is
before,
for
where
925
it was
gear.
a much lower chance, and it felt like you should be doing other types of activities beforehand. So making
pretty
sure
good.
that there's more options available as opposed to just kind of pigeonholing.
Especially when you
yourself
can do, like,
into
tier
maybe
90s with
tiny
level
world bosses and
85
stuff like that from that
on
end.
certain necro builds. It's going to be easy
And
farm.
then this
80,
one
85.
is a point of feedback that we've gotten from a lot of players, and this is something that we kind of optimized within Season 2 last year. Things like the living steel buff based off of community feedback
like the
was really
season
big.
per
And
carryover
we're
items,
actually increasing
no items are
opportunities to
carrying
earn,
over.
the Beast and Ice summoning
What do you
items.
mean?
So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier in our stream, where with the boss ladder, there will be more opportunities for players to kind of jump into those. So there will be additional summoning items.
Beast of
for
Ice is
and
the most
which will
useless
then, of
one.
course,
No
help
one
you
kind of wants to
eventually
kill
get
it, so
to
why give it more
Vampirial.
summoning materials?
And this
I mean, it's
goes
better,
hand in hand
but
with
still.
some of the living steel buffs
Steve,
that we
yes, we're
ended
getting
up doing in
vampiric
Season
powers,
2,
probably
within
mid-season
Helltide.
update.
So a lot of quality of life updates.
Can
There's additional
Surge do
ones that
90s
players
at
will
level
end up
85?
seeing, within
Yes.
the patch notes they'll be
Yes.
releasing tomorrow.
Yes.
So you should check out the patch notes. They'll be hitting on Diablo4.com.
Easier if you have the,
specifically for all the details
wall.
and all the items that even Adam Jackson was talking about earlier. Now we come to the part where
What's Beast of Ice?
always mess up
The
names.
Nightmare Dungeon
But
material summoning Uber
actually,
boss.
Before we do that, I'm
Unique bosses are
breaking
staying,
order
yes,
production
that's the boss ladder.
Our wonderful production group. here is gonna be
Uriel.
like, what's wrong with you, Adam?
Great War,
One thing I do want to call
Barshan,
out is
boss
we actually
ladder.
have a new promo for Twitch starting with Season 3, and that is our Support a Streamer promo. We had the Support a Streamer for Season 1. We have it again for Season 2. It is a new amount that players can actually earn. This time it's different. Before we only had a select group of streamers. I think it was like around like 2,000 streamers that signed up and opted in. Now it's for any streamer that streams Diablo 4.
Sup to Ponyhoff.
Thank you, Twitch, for making the engineering updates to allow for it to be just across the whole entire category. Any streamer that is streaming Diablo 4, if you're a viewer and you happen to be watching them, you can either
Sup to
purchase
Ponyhoff during
a
Diablo
sub
4.
from them or
Thank you.
gift a sub and to a total of 2. So it could be 1 gifted, 1 purchase, or 2 gifted.
But you
And
already
you'll
got us.
actually
But
end
think
up
about it, you
earning
could have
amounts as
2
well.
horse.
You just need to make sure that your Battle.net account is actually linked with your Twitch account, and you are watching a participating Diablo 4 streamer. It'll note it on their channels and stuff for you to earn that mount. So that is coming, and there'll be a blog later today about that specific Twitch supporter streamer program that's going to be launching with the start of Season 3 on January 23rd. So make sure to check it out. And I believe it's actually going to be running for quite a while, like a month or so. So players will be able to kind of take part in that.
We don't need loot
from their
filters.
end.
We
But,
need better
now our
loot.
favorite part, which is the Q&A. And we're actually going to be going back and forth between Irvine and here in Albany, because Adam Jackson, of course,
No
is
loot
still
filters?
with us
Better loot.
to answer any specific questions related
Okay,
to
Q&A
class
chat.
and class
Let's see
balance that
what we're getting.
players may have. But I know one question that as we queue up questions specifically from our side and have my live feed right here, will attempt to not butcher names. Maybe I will. I will. Spoilers. But one question that we do have is, how have the team's thoughts changed in regards to balance since Diablo 4's release? This is a question for Mr. Adam Jackson in Irvine. If you could help
What's that
us
for a
with
question that I...
answer.
Yeah. Let me think. It's a deep question, but I think. Okay. So.
No one asked that. Yeah.
I guess we'll start
No
with, because
one-
there's like a long history of balance, right? I think there's actually a very good story, and we could start even before launch and going into launch and how we thought about things. But I think we'll start with like Season 1 and the transition from kind of the launch version of the game into
Sorry,
the
I
first
phased
season,
out because
right?
this is really uninteresting.
Obviously, when we launched the game, we had some pretty benign ideals.
And when we just talked about
hey,
their
we want all the
balancing
classes to be
philosophy.
within a certain power range of each other.
20
and
minutes
everything
long.
should be viable for everyone, and basically everything feels good, and there's a lot of different ways to play, right? And then one of the issues that we ran into this Season 1 that I think is interesting to talk about is we realized that in our quest to make items and item stats really fun and powerful and interesting, we had
I'm definitely never
over-budgeted
work.
on quite
I'm
a
never
few
getting
of them.
work with Blizzard again
And I
after
think
this
just in
stream.
the interest of
They're gonna
time,
watch
pick
this
up
and yell at
cooldown
me.
reduction. It's a very scary stat to me and the team. So we realized in the launch version game the cooldown reduction was too high, right? And so players are basically able to solve cooldown reduction, and use that with air quotes, and get to a point where they had very low, if any, cooldowns on a lot of their skills.
Yeah, we know all of that, and
this
then
is
you
true
nerf
for main
cooldown
stats,
reduction.
not just cooldown reduction. But one of the problems that we knew was going to come up, that was a kind of future us problem, or really almost immediately us
We've
problem,
been there. We
is
played
that if
that
we let
season.
players solve these things, whether it's defensive stats, cooldown reduction, resource, whatever it may be, and we let them solve it only in gear, then we're going to get to a state where we can't give exciting things to you anymore that you're going to be really happy about, and that will
Blinks
feel
his eyes so
impactful because
violently.
you just got it all in gear.
He
right? Well,
does?
gear does need to be cool and interesting. If you completely solve these things, I can't give you a legendary
Yes,
power, or I
it
can't
does.
give you something late game that really buffs and changes your build in a meaningful way if you got it from just one source.
It's Morse
And so then we
code.
launched Season 1, and we're like, okay,
Chad,
we're going to kind of
Morse
eat
code.
our vegetables here, and we're going to
Send-
preserve the long
send
term health
help.
of the game, but we're
No
going to do
one
these very
asked this
necessary
question.
nerfs, and there are quite
This
a
is-
few, right?
This
And
is
even
a
at the time
scam.
we did this, we knew, we tried to mix in a bunch of buffs and, try and make it feel good, but we just didn't hit the mark, right? We kind of failed in that.
If you had
endeavor.
1,000
We
lights in your
did,
face, that would
do
look
the
like that. I
necessary
have
things to
1,000
bring the
lights in my
game in a
face.
long-term healthy
I don't look
state,
like that.
but it came at the cost of player fun and player.
But I
sentiment.
also have
So you
slept
went from,
yesterday,
the
or in the
beginning
past
preseason
few
to
days
Season
more
1,
than him
and the
probably.
game overall just got quite a bit less fun because you were just less powerful and you weren't compensated enough from the player.
This
point
this
of view.
question
And
was completely useless and
so we
answered
kind of
nothing.
learned a lesson there of like we need to be a little bit more thoughtful and careful of when we roll out these things and how we roll them out, and then also how we communicate it, right? Because we didn't really tell people the intricacies
Yeah, it
of
was
these
3
problems. We
minutes
just came
right
out with a
now.
patch and let you figure it out, and
Still
that
going
didn't go
on.
too well, right? So then in Season 2 came around, and
Oh,
we did
we're
a
not
big
done.
combat math
Oh.
update to the game. We were kind of a little worried because we had to kind of
Roll
thread
it,
this
Adam.
needle of we also were nerfing player power because we changed a lot of multiplicative synergies to be additive, but we wanted to do it in a way where you felt more powerful and it felt more fun and fair. So we had to do a lot of more work on the monster side and balance monsters to the new expected player power when, vulnerable.
See, I would like to have an interview with a person who planned this live stream and just ask him some very precise questions.
A little bit to my surprise, I'll be honest.
But just, and there would be why, and whose idea was this?
And then we also decided during season 2 when it came to balance that instead of trying to, nerf and whack-a-mole things that are really strong and immediately take them away because it's not supposed to be that way, we just kind of let it ride. And so that's why you saw things like, ball
it seems like one of these scenarios where this wasn't run past anyone.
Druid, rogue combo, like many classes.
Yeah, this wasn't passed around anyone that actually has like a feeling for flow of a show.
At the end of season 2, we're seeing that, some people are starting to be a little upset, like, hey, these same builds are just killing everything.
Adam looks like he's strung out and hasn't slept for a week, but Adam always looks like this, I feel like, right? I mean, I always look like I haven't slept in a week, but I look like that.
Forever. And so now we're trying to come up with a more balanced approach of how we see these things. And that's why, again, I was saying kind of in my presentation, we're thinking a lot of, how often do we update actually really matters,
this is good things he's saying because they changed their mindset because in the preseason, Eternal season, and season 1, they were all about nerfing. Now they're all about fun. That is a good mindset change. But the problem is we have heard that in the last campfire chat, in the campfire chat before, we've heard it in 20 minutes long already this stream. We have seen tweets about it. We have seen articles about it.
More in depth in the future, but I think that kind of answers the question. It's already a
They need to hire a campfire production manager. Exactly.
No, I appreciate it, Adam. And so we're going to go through some additional questions. I might be going back to Adam, but I know one question that we at least have gotten regarding season 3 is this is from Ice Vixen. I'm attempting. What about group play?
See, the first question didn't have a name, Chad.
Work,
Chad, the first question didn't have a name.
Buff and everything. How do rewards kind of associate with that?
Right. So you are able to group up and play through a vault, and yeah, it behaves pretty much like any other Nightmare dungeon, and so there are instances where if you leave the dungeon, you will lose the buff. So we're trying to avoid some cases where players might try to cheat their way to the end.
Yeah.
But overall, we're trying to be as supportive as possible for group play.
Awesome.
The question was, can you group play vaults? Pretty much.
This is a question back for Adam. A popular question regarding minion builds. And plans for minion builds. I know this one has been brought up in chat quite often. What are the plans for like maybe Necromancer or Druid minion
please,
builds?
Adam. Adam, please.
Yeah, I definitely don't get asked this all the time. So let me think.
Say it.
So we know the feedback that people want minion builds to be kind of more impactful, and these are now I'm kind of going into my opinion, but I think a lot of that feedback comes from a combination of, they don't feel necessarily maybe as powerful as other builds, which we can and we do. And if you've noticed in our past patches, we've consistently been number buffing minion builds.
We're not getting buffed.
And even this patch does have some number buffs in that realm.
We're not going to.
I think a more complicated, difficult problem to solve is kind of the relationship between the player and the minion, and making the minions feel really cool and awesome, and your investment
nothing's happening
really pay off in a way that is kind of more visceral. That is a harder problem to solve that requires in my mind, and I'm not promising anything, but these are things like rethinking of how the Book of the Dead upgrades work, and that relationship between sacrificing and minion upgrades, and really trying to make them do more visually, I think, cool and awesome things, and maybe more reacting to you, and so you feel like they're doing a lot more on their own a little bit. That's kind of the
getting mini buffs.
We're
getting mini buffs.
Don't have anything to announce right now as far as that. And Druid Companions, I think, are kind of in a similar vein, even though they don't have quite the same support in fantasy that Necromancer does, because they don't have a Book of the Dead, for example. But I think players really just want this visceral feeling, like I've got my gain with me, and we're all going and messing with stuff. So we're doing number buffs now. It is a thing that we are looking at. I don't have any promises of when, because again, this is something that I think
number buffs, but no rework, and we need both.
That are a little more difficult coming in the near future. But it is something that we know of, and that will
because the Necro skills are shit. Army of the Dead, Kellen's Addict.
Awesome, I appreciate it. A question related to
no minion building in season 3 then. Sorry, chat.
players can find there?
I
or,
hate
like,
to
what
disappoint
can
you.
they find in that
So
specifically?
Uber uniques are still the domain of Duriel at this
Okay.
point. That's going to be your best shot for getting Uber uniques. But we still wanted to make the Uber Vault rewarding. And so for the Seneschal construct, we've actually created several unique tuning stones, which really we haven't given away too much information about. But
Okay.
defeating Uber Malphus is going to be the only way to earn those.
Awesome. Yeah. So players will be able to get really
Uber Vault
really,
for unique tuning stones, and
powerful,
they're strong
unique
chat.
tuning stones specifically from those.
Several is too.
And, I will spoil
the
it
way.
a little bit. We did technically have like PC Gamer did a good interview
okay.
with Sean, and I know it was kind of like revealed specifically in one of the shots there. So if people want like a sneak peek of what one does, there is an opportunity.
For some reason,
to actually
guys,
check
the
it out
only way
there.
to find this rune is by
people can
reading an
actually see it
interview on
there.
PC Gamer.
Another question back for Adam.
Not
This
on
is
a blog
another big
post.
question within chat. Oh, by the way, Beefcake Monster asked that last question. I forgot names, but this one is actually asked by a lot of people, so just many names specifically.
Sure.
Snapshotting. Snapshotting is something that.
Oh, yeah, snapshotting. Please
kind
remove
of
it.
Appeared, especially
It's bullshit.
as players were going through like Abattoir of Zir. Do we have any plans regarding snapshotting and what we might do
Please
for that?
tell me something.
Yeah, we do have things coming. I don't have anything to announce today. It won't be at the beginning of season 3, but we do have fixes coming for snapshotting. We're aware of the problem. It came on a little hot at the end of season 2, but yeah, we've talked about it. We've seen it. We kind of know the intricacies of it, and we'll be taking a look at it.
Yeah, hopefully for leaderboard.
Awesome, I appreciate
Because
it.
else I'm not
a
interested
question
in
that I've also
leaderboard if
seen
I have
a
to
few times
snapshot.
in chat about Zoltan Cool. Funny enough, do we like encounter Zoltan Cool in this?
Do
Or?
not
Snapshotting
encounter
is
him. He's still dead.
Fuck
no digging up his
abusing
head this
to get
time.
2 key
But you'll hear his
passives
voice.
to
Several
activate
war
multiple
boats
aspects
dropped
at the
throughout
same time that
vaults,
shouldn't be
and
activated.
generally his presence,
It's
and
buck
how you
abusing
can
for
play
more
off.
power.
Of course, we have to hear Zoltan Cool.
By
and his
exchanging like
wonderful voice
items
of
to have like
talking
3
to
items happening at
everyone.
the same time,
So
or
that
by
makes
getting like
perfect sense.
3
I
sorcerer
know,
key passive instead
a
of
question
1.
regarding the
bullshit.
vault specifically. Is that an area that players can actually maybe potentially level up Paragon glyphs, or is that still something that is
Say it.
tied to Nightmare Dungeons?
So the Nightmare versions of Vault should work the same way as Nightmare Dungeons in that respect.
Yes.
You should be able to level up your glyphs there too.
Awesome, yeah.
Chat,
I know
we can do
that
Nightmare
a lot of
Vaults
people
for
were hearing
Paragon
about the
glyphs.
Nightmare Vaults, and they're going like, well, does that serve also the same? Like, can I do almost like get both objectives in one type of thing, which you now
Makes me
can.
happy.
So and that
That's
was
great.
from Galley 055.
So I want to do normal Nightmare
Question,
Dungeons if Nightmare Vaults are there.
specifically. And then
Simple.
I know a question we have from UN Tanks Up. Bad, terrible, Adam. How many times can we do the Gauntlet in a week?
So we have not restricted players' access to the Gauntlet. I think it's the type of.
Would you
content
like
we
to have a
want people
restricted
try and
access to the
master.
Gauntlet, like 10 tries
And
only
in
per
order
week,
to be able
chat?
to do that, you've got to be able to practice,
Or
and you've got to be able
Unlimited.
to improve. And so really, you can play it as much or as little as you want, which is a change again.
yeah, I
from
think no
something
limits
like
is
a
better
Nightmare
for the
Dungeon
people
where
that
you
really
need
want
sigil.
to min
The
max.
only requirement right now is that you are world tier 4.
Yeah, and we don't play WoW. That's true.
You think you're
Practice
ready.
makes perfect.
Yeah.
I'm with
So,
you.
again,
I'm
you can
a bit
jump
unsure. Like
into,
it wouldn't hurt
the
me.
specifically
10 per day per
before
week.
Gauntlets specifically before.
No, I think
hitting
it like
level 100.
unlimited. For
Usually
the people that want to
preferred
throw
go
away
in
their
at
life, let
level
them throw away
100,
their life.
but, you can try tackling it a little bit earlier if you want, and you can do it.
Yeah,
as many
multiple
times as you
characters
want,
move
which is
over
really
gear,
cool. So
exactly.
I'm excited to see how players optimize. Because of course they change every single week, and they get to kind of like learn, and they get to kind of maybe modify based on how many people are within their party, which is really, really cool. A question that we also have been getting regarding some of the I lost my question now. I'm so bad at this. The itemization updates that we have talked about in the past. A lot of people were asking like, hey, is that still on track for season 4? This one was specifically from
Anything happening in
Fermel.
season 3, please?
Yes, that is still on track for season 4. We have a really massive itemization update coming specifically for that season. And we'll have more news to share as we get closer to season 4. But for right now, we don't have news to share with the community for
Give us
season 3
something.
regarding that. But
We removed
it
20
will be
useless
pretty
aspects
significant,
already.
and we'll be talking about that more in a future stream here coming down the line. And then
Does nobody vet the questions?
Any
It's
updates
supposed to feel
regarding, like,
natural.
some of the group finders or social features. I know that is also another big question that a lot of players have been asking over the last, couple of months, specifically about, hey, are we making any changes and everything towards that? And really, this is something that we addressed at BlizzCon as well. I think Tiffany answered this one, where it is something that we're looking into, and the team is obviously seeing the feedback, and it's something that we're planning on working and making better through the lifetime of Diablo 4.
Not yet.
So players can expect to see better and more optimizations towards the social features and the friend finder specifically from that end.
I just hate people having airports. Well, he has the airport obviously to get commands from the
Do we get more sources of Uber uniques for this specific season? Really, the best way of grabbing Uber uniques is through the boss ladder for sure, through Uber Duriel. And there are more.
I'm not going to farm Uber Duriel, Chan.
Uber uniques anytime throughout the game. It's just there are higher chances through Uber Duriel, and that is still the same specifically for this season. And there, of course, now more opportunities to go into that fight now, since we've amped up a lot of the. I
might be doing
around
50 Uber Duriels this season, but not more, because it's just now not interesting enough. I'd rather hug the vault.
Kind of jump into
even not for the leaderboard, Chan. I'm not going to farm every Uber unique for the leaderboard. That's why I play Necro.
I know we get a lot of questions
because we don't need Uber uniques.
From players asking hey, is there any update of
the mount from Duriel is still in? Yes,
100%. Right now we don't have any plans towards that. It's just something that we've been hearing a lot from players. There's a lot of work that of course has to go into something like that.
Last 20 minutes were time waste. Yes, I have to admit that. Sadly, they were.
We'll make sure to actually provide that specifically on that.
This whole stream could have been right now 15 minutes
about the codex,
which is harsh to say for a
just kind of shotgunning. I'm seeing
2-hour cast.
Words appear in chat. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing.
Let's say 20.
That we talked about before, and that work is currently underway, and that will also be part of a future season. And it is a massive update. It's something that we had talked about beforehand on previous streams, which was
we get good information, guys, in the beginning about how the new level works.
Aspects were
so I'll release an updated level guide for you. That's my plan.
Within the character, or cataloged within the character. So we will have more info on when that actually ends.
Anything bad to come for Necro? We're not getting really minion buffs. That's about it. Patch notes to come tomorrow, and I'll give you a patch note video.
Some of this community.
Don't worry, guys. We're gonna have a Necromancer patch note deep dive, super deep dive.
Question regarding Gauntlet. This is from RM Dragonheart. Will you be able to inspect the top players in Gauntlet and see what builds they're potentially using?
Yeah.
So you will be able to inspect the top players from Gauntlet. There'll be a link from the leaderboard to a player's profile, and you'll be able to see what they're playing currently. But we do not save a snapshot right now of what they played at that moment.
He said snapshot.
Awesome. So yeah, if you want to
see what he did there,
top builds and stuff like that, you have the opportunity to. But it does, if they happen to change their build overnight or something like that, it's going to grab whatever that.
I think it's cool that you can look it up, Chad. Come on now.
And then I know we've gotten, or this was a question from Max, not TV, regarding Malthus. Do we have any plans of Malthus becoming maybe potentially an endgame boss outside of the season? Or are we planning on maybe, introducing it in like a boss ladder in the future?
Right. So every season, much as Adam described for power, we take a look at those elements that we really liked from a
I mean, Lord Zier's also staying, right? We need Lord Zier to stay, because else I can't get my littlest wall.
On the team like fighting Malthus. Hopefully y'all enjoy fighting Malthus too.
Eternal character's pointless, yes.
If you like fighting him enough, then perhaps in the future, we could bring him over to the boss ladder.
Yeah, just like Varshan.
Yeah, but we're no commitments to that quite yet.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I know we went through some questions here, and we're
I would assume Lord Zier's staying, right?
For 90 minutes. We're a little.
Why are you leaving the Pure Summoner Necro really useless and broken? Because they struggled to actually make it work.
Questions, and if you have additional questions, of course, make sure to ask them over social media, Reddit, forums. We're always checking those out, and of course, we'll try to address them in either future streams or immediately if we can after the stream. Again, patch notes for Season 3 and the new.
They said Zero's going away. No, Abattoir Zero is going away,
tomorrow.
not Zero.
So make sure to check
Abattoir Zero.
diablo4.com specifically for those patch notes.
They announced the return
it's a
of
big
Meteor
one.
Mage, yes.
Always a big patch notes when you
The rings
start
are
off a
staying,
new season
I think, as far as it sounded.
And you know, we have a lot of other activities that are going on within the Diablo universe. Diablo 3 started their new season just a couple weeks ago. D2. Repping D2 today. There we go, D2R. D2, I know we've gotten a lot of questions about when the next ladder will be. We'll have more news on that in February. We don't.
We're having a D4 stream right now, Adam.
Until February, but we'll
Thank
give
you,
a
though,
specific
for
date,
hyping up
as we
the
get
other
closer
games,
to
but
February. Of course, DI has a ton of new updates as well. They had a big
was a
update
D4
before the
stream?
holiday regarding familiars being added to the game, and they've been expanding on that. So there's a ton of stuff coming to the Diablo universe. D4, even earlier this month, we talked about how we will have ray tracing and a lot of those features coming into Diablo 4 here really soon.
Ray tracing,
players should
Chad.
expect to see that within a future update really soon. So I'm super excited for that.
Ray
those
tracing.
items. But lots of stuff within the Diablo universe, and of course, season 3 hitting on January 23rd. I just want to thank Madeline, Dan,
Yeah, no way,
Adam
I know.
Jackson from Irvine. I'm looking forward to flying back and saying hi again, Adam. But I want to thank you guys for of course joining us on this special developer update live stream for season 3. And just a heads up for people that are watching.
So half the people are sitting in
our
Irvine,
friends
the
at
other half are
Xbox,
sitting in Albany.
are actually doing an
So the
Xbox
teams are
Developer
actually not
Direct,
like really
that's gonna be
working
starting
in
here
one
really
building
soon.
together.
So make sure to
That
check that out.
explains
on
a lot of
the
things,
Xbox channel on
if I'm
Twitch
honest with
and
you.
on YouTube.
Chad?
And of course, we'll be raiding into some
How
of
far
our,
I understand
our
that.
wonderful Diablo partners on YouTube and Twitch. So make sure to tune into them immediately after the stream. But thank you guys again for tuning in for the developer update.
We're going to do a wrap up now, Chad. I have all the info. I have everything written down for you.
Launching on January 23rd. Patch notes tomorrow on Diablo4.com. And yeah.
No,
thank
Wasp
you guys
gameplay is
from
coming.
Albany. Really
Wasp
appreciate it.
gameplay
You
is
guys
coming.
in the game.
Have a good
But
one.
it's not like it's coming, but we didn't see it. Okay, so quick wrap up, chat, but I should be having a video for you tomorrow as well. I might actually just record the video right now and just bring it out. Screw it. No. So quick wrap up for the people to understand. This is all the notes here. So this document again is there. Okay. It's like in the description of the YouTube video. It has like all the season 3 videos that we've made so far, evergreen information, and this is the fireside chat with some screenshots. No AOZs, obviously, in Season 3 at all. Arcane Tremors is an overworld activity. We get more to Arcane Tremors in a second. From level 8 on, you have the new construct, and you'll do a vault. So that's level 8 to 10. You should be able to get this already. There's a whole trade hub below Kyrgyzstan, so that's actually pretty good, I have to say. We've seen that in the early part of the video. Let me actually see if we can pull up the VOD for this. YouTube.com/Diablo. I should be able to... have the VOD live stream up. Mute this. So we have the VOD live stream just for the people that missed this. We're going quickly through. Bibbidi bobbidi bobbidi boo. Useless, useless, useless. The whole stream started pretty useless. I'm gonna not lie, Chan. This is here, level 10. You're gonna have the construct already, so you're gonna be able to do the seasonal quest very early. The most important part is that below Kazakhstan is a hub where everything is. So there is like a trader there, the purveyor of curiosities. You have all the vendors here in the top right corner. You can see that. You have all the vendors, sigils, everything. The town portal point is right in the middle, which is important because not too much running. Because one thing that's concerning, if everything is together, is it at least achievable or approachable because we can't ride there, right? We can't use our horse. But Necro didn't give buffs. Overpower's getting nerfed, but Overpower's getting nerfed probably for Barb, and Overpower in general is probably going to get a slight rework. Very important is patch notes are coming tomorrow. So we have no actual patch note information yet. No numbers, no nothing. Good. Where was the document? I have way too many things open. So we have a Vault of Stone, Vault of Ink, and Vault of Loom. We don't know what that means, but there's 3 different vaults. There is a stone cache and more stones to be seen. Yeah, that was just the way how you actually bought these things. So they kind of talked about like, see, these are the Vault of Stone, the vault, so 3 different vaults, but we don't know what it actually means. Right? So what I assume is in order to In order to do Uber Malphus, you have to do all three. Does that make sense? Chat, listen. There's an Uber vault. She said 4 vaults in total. Yeah, 3 vaults plus the Uber vault. That means we have to do all 3 vaults to do the Uber vault. That would make sense. It's a commitment of 30 minutes. Yeah, she said 4 vaults, but you only see 3 in the video. There was no 4th one in anywhere close by. So my assumption would be maybe do all 3 of them here. Like there's also no space. I mean, look at the top right corner. Look at the mini map here. You can see it. Oh, my arm is huge. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's actually no UI space for a 4th one. I mean, if we go back here, there's I think there's a vault at the very beginning. You can actually see it. So the 4th one she walks past. Let me see. See, there's a 4th one that is further away, and that would probably then be the Uber vault. So I would assume you have to do all 3 to then go into the Uber vault. That makes sense. And we'll see on release, but that's that. So we're gonna have the end is always a big danger room in the vault, and then you get the Pearls of Warding. And essentially, we lose Pearls of Warding when you take damage from traps. But the question is it damage from traps, guys, we're going to see there, or is it getting hit by traps? Because that's a little bit the problem. So you're getting the Pearl of Warding, you get 3 stacks. If you get hit by any trap or damaged by any trap, you lose a Pearl of Warding stack. The big question is obviously, is it hit or damage? I would say it's hit, because if it was damage, it's easy to mitigate. I mean, I play a Bone Storm build and I never take damage, correct? Therefore, I would say hit. And whenever you hit, you lose wardings, and then you get less loot. That's kind of like the way how it works. Then we have Arcane Tremors. Arcane Tremors are the coolest thing, guys. They're overworld activities, and I can zoom forward because I have timestamps. That's why I put the timestamps in there, by the way. Arcane Tremors, the way how it works, and we're going to actually replay this because I wanted to just confirm because I was talking over it like a little bit.
Construct invasions or incursions, essentially, that are creating the tremors. And so I can talk a little bit about this activity. We can queue up some video for that too. And so here you've arrived and you see basically a roaming band of constructs. And, you know, obviously it's your job to go in and kill them and send them back to where they came from. But that's not all you need to do within this activity. What you're looking to do to really advance the activity is look for these cores that you can use to draw out Malphus's most powerful lieutenants. And so you're getting a core here from an obelisk, which is an overworld hazard, and you've got to make sure to not get hit by that. And if you collect enough cores, you're able to deposit them in a brazier, which you can see on screen here glowing. And the brazier is a signal that you are now challenging one of the Heralds of Malphus. And the Herald of Malphus...
So that's like the gameplay loop is going to be very simple. You go over the map, right, where all these things are. Like here, this again, this is the map with everything on it. And the map has like all the Arcane Tremors, the vaults, and the Arcane Cores on it. So this is kind of like how it's going to look, right? And you're gonna do essentially the overworld activity for the Tremors, right? To get the cores, to deposit them in the braziers, so like Blood Harvest, to then get Pearls of Warding. Okay, that's very important. So that's why you do Arcane Tremors. And I think what you're gonna this is leveling, right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but right now the level loop would be level 1 to 40, 35, 40 is doing Arcane Tremors or Pearls, maybe some vaults, right? But keep most Pearls, because you want to keep most Pearls that you would actually have them for World Tier 3 and 4. So keep most Pearls for World Tier 3, 4. That's Nightmare Vaults. Then with level 35, 40 advance into World Tier 3. And then like from like, you know, 35, 40 to 60, to 55, 60, you would do again Arcane Tremors, right? For Pearls. plus plus Nightmare Vaults in this case. Hell Tides and Legion events for Blood and Steel. And from 55-60 on, it's... Actually, you wouldn't do Hell Tides. You wouldn't do Hell Tides and Legion events. Screw that. Just Legion events, maybe. Legion events for easy levels. Legion events for easy levels. And then we would do from 55-60 to 100. That would be Arcane Tremors plus Nightmare Vaults plus Uber Vaults and Hell Tides, Legion events, etc. Right? Oh yeah, Tree of Whisper. Obviously, like here, add another one. Add another, like, let's move this down. You're right about this. Tree of Whisper in this case. Tree of Whisper while tremoring. So Tree of Whisper, I would assume, we didn't see it on the map and it's a bit disappointing. I would assume that there's going to be Tremor Whispers. But there doesn't have to be Tremor Whispers, because Whispers are often find the corpse, kill some units, get the orbs. So in every Tremor area, there will be Whispers. There might be also Tremor-related Whispers, just as we had in the Blood Harvest, right? But I would assume that generally we're going to be having like the chance to do Tree of Whispers. Does anyone disagree? Is that going to be our level loop? Seems good to me, right? I mean, we're going to make a video on optimized leveling, obviously, and you're going to get level builds. My main thing I want to do for you guys is speedruns from 1 to 100. So what I'm going to do is, on release of the game, we're going to do a 1 to 60 speedrun probably. I mean, we have done some of these here if you're interested. So this is my attempt at world record, these two, and we almost beat it on that video. Was actually pretty good. This is Eternal Realm, so this is without Arcane Tremors, but just to give you a taste for this. And all the way down there is, I think, another 1 to 100 speedrun. This is Rogue. There is Druid 2, and down here is the Blood Surge again. So all of them very good. But this is what you're going to get from me again, right? But yeah, this is probably the level loop we're going to do. And the plan is 3x Necromancer this season, plus 1x Druid, and maybe 1x Sorg. So this is my plan, 5 characters, most likely. So I can play leaderboard with multiple characters as well, because then I could be in the Druid leaderboard, I can be in the Necro leaderboard, and the Sorg leaderboard. But we'll see about that. Yeah, but this is probably going to be the loop, the gameplay loop. Okay, so we got Arcane Tremors as the overlord activity. Then we had Nightmare Vaults, more rewards, more traps, and Glyph XP. Very important, guys. So Nightmare Vaults are more rewards, traps, and Glyph XP. Woohoo. And then Uber Malphus drops unique tuning stones. That's why you kill Uber Malphus, okay, for unique tuning stones. Very important is that the seasonal journey will drop stones and 925 items. Okay, very important. Seasonal journey. Gauntlet is later this season, so this doesn't matter at all. We have cosmetics, seasonal blessings, yeah, and then the class changes they didn't talk much about, but we have the uniques in here, just in case you missed it. So there is new uniques coming. One is the Starfall Coronet for, here, we make it bigger. It's a helmet. We don't know where it drops. It gives 4 ranks to Meteor, 10% cooldown reduction, max life, and lucky hit chance, which is huge, actually. Wow, that's a lot of lucky hit chance on a helmet. And then Meteor now has 2 charges with 10-second or 6-second cooldown, right? Instead of mana cost, and drops 3 additional meteors around the target. So you can drop, well, multiple meteors, and Meteor Enchantment Effect and Enhanced Meteor drop 1 additional meteor. So that's a lot of meteors that you can drop. I think that's going to be a very fun build that I will definitely want to play, because this sounds right up my alley. It might not be the strongest build in the world, but being able to pump out a shit ton of meteors seems like fun to me. Good. And then there's also the Unsung Aesthetic Wraps. These are only 2 new uniques. We're getting more uniques, guys. So do not worry. This is 2 new uniques we have seen. The patch notes will probably have the other uniques as well. Good. So this is for Druid, and it's actually pretty good. It gives ranks in Lightning Storm, critical strike chance, ranks to Defiance passive. I don't know what the Defiance passive is, so you got to tell me. And lucky hit chance. Then, Lightning Storm gains 1 additional strike each time it grows. So, okay. And then Lightning Storm critical strikes cause lightning to strike twice, dealing 20% increased damage, which is kind of nice, right? I mean, like, being able to then tack on critical strike and have, like, lightning essentially strike, and then strike, even more strike, and then the more critical strike you have, the better it is. Plus, the new Season 3 mechanic, obviously, with the, it's called efficiency support. When the supporting skill deals damage, you gain critical strike chance. So, with your robot, you could, over tuning stones, increase your critical strike chance. So, you critical strike more. Fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, tier 90 plus now gives 925 gear. I don't know if it's like generally dropping or also that the end of the dungeon rewards gives you 925, which in my opinion it should be, guys. So tier 90 plus should always drop 925. Where do the new unique drops? We'll probably get an update. I mean, if you remember, we have the command on Twitch. It's called !unique farm. We do have a list with essentially where all Uber uniques drop, and I believe we're getting updated lists for this. So we still do have these lists here where it's shown, and they need to give us an update. Because obviously with these new uniques, they will drop somewhere. Right? So we just got to know. I mean, since they're buffing the Beast of Ice, I would assume that the Beast of Ice is getting them. Because they specifically mentioned that there's better summoning mats for the Beast of Ice. That would make me think that this is going to be for the Beast of Ice, which is shit, because then you can only gain this by doing Nightmare Dungeons, and that is like level 60 plus, where you're going to really start doing Nightmare Dungeons, and until then, you're going to play like until level 60, essentially, without having like the Beast of Ice. I mean, Varshan you could at least do in World Tier 3 already very easy, right? So, yeah, you should be able to target farm them. I mean, they're uniques. They drop everywhere, as everything. Guys, uniques drop everywhere. You can get them everywhere. But Big Bud, very nicely shaped. Obviously, there will be a boss that most likely is going to drop them. I just can't see how not, right? But yeah, that's it for now. So what you can expect in the next days is essentially all the videos to land here. I mean, we already have the expected gameplay loop in here, but I'm going to update this. We have my game plan, what I'm essentially planning to do for you guys with the whole season, and what kind of videos I'm going to do for you. And then there's generally evergreen information in here as well that you can look up. This document is available for you with !season 3 or in the comments if you're looking for this. That was me now with our video. I don't think we're going to do a wrap up straight away. So you'll, like, in the morning tomorrow when I wake up, you'll probably have a wrap up video for this. But I will probably rather make a video with the new gameplay loop explained. Because right now we already have the information on how vaults work and how Arcane Tremors work. And I think I'm going to like wrap up the seasonal mechanic for all of us. Because that is very interesting. Because if the seasonal mechanic is boring, no one wants to play this season. So I do believe that that will be my main focus for tomorrow. And then obviously patch notes. As soon as they're out, you're going to get a video. Probably going to stay up the night to make that video for you. And I hate it already. So yeah. Have a great good night. Thank you for coming. One of my most successful, YouTube streams ever. Twitch been popping as well. So thanks everyone for being here. Sorry if I missed any of your subs, Chad. True Pelican, Yami. We had Ferb. We had Funny. Thank you all for supporting the channel. We had the sub gifts too from Limpin. Limpin, didn't forget about you. We're not playing hardcore. We're playing softcore because I like to make many characters, many guides, and I tried stupid things. I mean, if you look at my builds, we play the Poopmancer, we play Summoners, we play everything. But expect 3 level builds, 1 Blood, 1 Shadow, 1 Bone. That's what we're going to get. Okay? And now, good night.